This is right before State Road 70 on the northbound side. Look at that. There was a tree that went across the roadway there on the right side. Now, they have gotten this tree up. Look at the left side of the screen. Look at the big barrage there of emergency responders that are on the southbound side. So the crews are out there. They are assessing. They're trying to clean up. All right, so that one, unfortunately, has been wrapped up. But these are some of the obstacles that you're facing out there on the roadways. And this is why you really shouldn't be out and about right now. Just want to not deal with that. State Road 64 had another issue earlier. Now, Bri and I, our producer, we were talking about this when we were watching it live as the crews were there and they were chopping up that tree. So again, this was earlier. That tree has been cleaned up. This was right at 75 there on State Road 64. But they got in there and they got that whole thing chopped up and off the road already. So good news with that one. A situation that's still there is US 17, the northbound ramp from 75 southbound. There's a whole bunch of standing water there on the ramp, just covering that ramp on 17. Once again, US 17 northbound from 75 southbound. Look at that. And some of the cars are still risking that. They're going on the left side and just squeezing to get onto US 17 northbound. Scary stuff. Now, I have a list of some things I want to share with you that we've gotten here at the station. Some of these are reported, and some of these are confirmed from the Florida Department of Transportation and FHP. 37th at 44th, the signal's not working properly. You have to treat that as a four-way stop. You're going to see a lot of that right now after Hurricane Milton. University at DeSoto, some debris in the road. Old Bradenton at Riverside, there's a tree down. State Road 64, Manatee Avenue, where it's Manatee Avenue, 43rd Street, object on the road. State Road 70 at Greenbrook, the lights are not positioned right, they're hanging, they're somewhat damaged. Weber and Beneva, there's a tree down on the northbound side of Beneva. And then also Tuttle at 59th Street, tree down. Fruitville, US 41, some glass debris reported on Fruitville. State Road 70 at 87th Street East, flooding. 41 north at Constitution, the signal's not working right, and the list just keeps growing. So if you can avoid being out right now while crews are assessing and cleaning up, let's do so. All right, right now we're going to send things over to First Alert meteorologist Mike Modrick. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Ted. Thank you. I've got some videos here. My wife has been out surveying property and sent some videos in. This first one, I was like, what in the world am I seeing here? And then it finally hit me. I'll wait till it cycles around. The casing here is that in case of emergency, break glass, and then this is the fire hose, and the winds of this storm just ripped this, what would be a fire hose, out of that cabinet and just tossed it around, tied it up into knots. So that was one of them right there. Some other video here, no, that's not the next one. There we go. Down trees here. Most of the damage that occurred in this area had already occurred with Helene. So there's not a lot of new damage. There's a swimming pool right there. A few more trees are down, but not significantly more than we had with Helene. There's another one, though. You know, this is why we have power outages. That's an oak tree right there, not a super old oak tree. That's the parking structure. Now, with Helene, when this rush of water that had to have been about 4 or 5 feet high going underneath the condo building, that water all came into the parking structure, and it was this, at first glance, it looked like just really nice black soil that you'd want to grow things in. And then it all dried up in this muddy concoction, but if it got wet again to any extent, it was really slippery. So this whole parking area had to be power washed to get that Helene mud off. But we didn't get that this time. There's no way that the storm surge was as high with this storm as it was in Helene, just based on this, what we're seeing here. There are no cars in this structure because everybody took their cars to higher ground. And so fortunately, nobody to get hit with the tree like that. These are the latest power outage numbers. 74% of Sarasota County, 78% of Manatee County. So 223,000, 203,000. DeSoto County with 11,000 people. Hardy County, you got 98% without power. Pinellas is at 413,000, and then Orange County, last report was just shy of 100,000. Orange County is Orlando area. So with that, it was 14% of the county so far. And those counties, like Orange County, those are the ones that are getting hit a little bit harder right now. I'm going to see if I have the current conditions here for those two. No, doesn't look like I have those set up here in this graphic here. I'm just trying to find those. No. Doesn't look like I'm going to have it here, but this is the beach and boating report here for today. We have winds at sea here now that could still be pushing 25 to 35 knots. So it's extremely rough conditions at sea, 8 to 11 foot seas. John had warned repeatedly, he's an old mariner from days back, you know, you never ride out a storm like this on your boat. There's always somebody who thinks that it's a great idea because you're bobbing like a cork. It's not a good idea. The seas last night would have been 25-foot waves at least out of that, but still extremely rough today. It'll only be rough seas tomorrow with 20 to 25 knot winds, and those are out over the ocean water, the Gulf of Mexico waters. So that's not what the rest of us are going to be experiencing. We're pretty much down to a situation where we're going to have, you know, 10, 15, 20 mile per hour winds here today and into the next couple of days. Saturday, though, still choppy on the water. So not great boating weather coming up if you still have a boat, if it survived the storm. This is radar here. We're going on through the early morning hours here. So we're into 8:30, 9 o'clock. You don't see a lot left. There is the storm as it came on shore near Siesta Key. This is historic. This is legendary. This is the first time we've been able to say, and not that we wanted to, that a hurricane, a major hurricane, as a Category 3, came on shore near Siesta Key. Now, we had severe damage from just Helene, and officials and people were working day and night to try to clean up that debris, clean up the sand, get it into piles. And so now all of that work is set back, and we're set back to ground zero again to clean up things. And it's all, the officials, we all heard the governor speak, and we all heard the officials speak, and it is just common sense. They want us all to stay off the roads. They have to assess damages, they have to assess power lines, they have to get all the stuff off the roads to make them safe for us to drive on. There could be debris from houses with nails in them, so you could drive over that and ruin all of your tires. There could be down power lines, live or not live, that you could be driving over. There's also, it could be huge trees blocking the way in some cases. And then if your car's there and then other cars behind that and behind that, then there's a huge mess and nobody can travel. So getting people off, or having you stay off the roads now is still the thing to do. You can check on your neighbors if you like at this point, but it may be difficult for emergency responders to get to people who need some help, but at least it is a possibility now. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. I'm having to remind myself of that every few minutes. Am I drinking enough water? Am I drinking enough water? I didn't drink enough water yesterday. That got to be a little bit of a problem for me. So make sure you do that as well. All right, we're going to send it back to, hey, it's Stephanie and Stephanie.
I wondered when someone would figure that out.
It's Stephanie squared. It's like Einstein's here.
And I just went to get some water. So yes, you're right. We're going to all drink enough water today. That is for sure.
Yes, thank you, Mike. All right, so we do have an update now on Venice. We are being told that the water treatment plant has been reactivated.
Great.
Potable water services are being restored, but officials say that there may still be some interruptions because they're continuing to repair the damage, but that boil water advisory will remain in place until further notice, and also wastewater is being restored as quickly as possible.
So that means they were able to turn the system back on.
Yes.
There were no big damages to the system, all of which is great.
Yes.
We just want everybody to be a little extra careful and continue to boil water right now. But this makes me happy because
Yes.
earlier this morning, I've been reporting since 2 a.m. that we were getting reports of significant flooding and damage, or in Venice rather. So it's great to know that even though there was some standing water, we didn't suffer any major damages to the water system. That'll make things a lot easier
Yeah.
to get things back and on. Okay, we've got our crews out and about now so we can see a little bit more about what's going on. Brendan Mackey has gotten a look at some of the destruction and some of the damages. He is at the 7-Eleven in Bradenton. Let's take a look.
Hey guys, I'm Brendan Mackey here in Lakewood Ranch. Right next to me is State Road 70 and Crusoe Road. You can see cars are out right now, and look at what they are seeing on the side of the road. Take a look at this 7-Eleven just destroyed. The entire metal banner here has been ripped off, and you can tell the wind took it and tried to blow it this way. It is now wrapped around the two gas stations here. I mean, this is unbelievable. We even have some cords up there hanging, so we're not gonna get any closer to that. But my photographer and I, we drove here. There are pieces of this about 100 feet that way. So just the sheer strength and power of Hurricane Milton is incredible. Look at this thing. This thing is completely metal and it's not like it just fell down and was knocked down. This thing has turned and is ripped apart, and now this gas station is just destroyed. So I'm sure we're gonna be seeing a lot more of this today. We're gonna send it back to you in the studio, but we will continue to cover Hurricane Milton.
All right, thank you, Brendan. We appreciate you being out and about. That's the kind of damage I think we're expecting to see with the kind of wind gusts. That's on the northern edge of Lakewood Ranch, if I understand correctly, where he is. So again, you know, the meteorologist will tell us exactly what those winds look like, but I'm sure they were very close to 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, 100, right around. When we were here at the height of it, Bob Harrigan was here, and he was saying 100, 102 miles an
About
hour.
where we are here,
Yes,
right, and
yes,
we're not very far
and not
from
far
that.
from him, so
Yeah.
that would make sense. We have some other videos we want to show you that are coming into our newsroom. Let's go to the St. Lucie County, this possible tornado.
And that's where we have the confirmed deaths, is in St. Lucie County.
Yes, that is correct. 4 confirmed deaths, and look at that. Just so much intensity there. Heavy wind and rain. You can
Wow,
see.
look at that. Oh my gosh, look at that camera.
It's very, very intense.
Very intense.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow. And we can understand, too, that these were the tornadoes spawned by the kind of the microcirculations, if you will, from the hurricane itself. But if you don't know where St. Lucie County is, it is all the way on the other side of the state
Right.
and
The east-
south.
The
It is
east coast of Florida,
right.
almost.
Yes. Oh, on the east coast of Florida.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So a very long way from where Hurricane Milton was coming ashore. But again, the way hurricanes work, they impact the circulations for many, many hundreds of miles and at all levels of the atmosphere. So that's why we see those tornadoes.
Very sorry for the families of those 4 people that lost their lives.
Absolutely. Okay, let's look at a rescue video here. Speaking of the word rescue, I actually just walked by and saw some rescues being reported as we speak in Hillsborough County. There are rescues happening everywhere. These are the rescues that would have been related to that St. Lucie County tornado.
Okay, so
And-
is this the facility? We understand there was a facility that may have been impacted.
Damaged and people were rescued, and that may be where the fatalities occurred.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Stephanie and I were both working at different day parts yesterday, so we both have different points of view there. But obviously, a lot of damage, not just as a result of the landfalling hurricane, but as from the
Yes,
tornadoes.
there you go. Okay, so we understand the reports that were coming in was that it's a home, a nursing home or a home for the elderly, and it looks like people were being taken out of there and rescued, and this is where that tornado struck.
Okay, so unfortunately,
Again, we're going to still continue to get details on that, but that is what we believe we were looking at there.
right. And rescues do continue even closer to home. I know from some of the reports that I'm hearing coming in, simply because there were people who weathered the storm at home and may have significant damage and may need to get out. And I know there's some flooding issues up in Pinellas and Hillsborough counties. That northern edge of the storm had so much rain in it. So
Yeah.
the flooding concerns ended up in places different than we may have been concerned about. We were all very worried about storm surge, of course,
Right,
Sarasota
right.
and Manatee counties. And I know John Scalzi has told us in Manatee County, at Port Manatee, little to no storm surge.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable.
And I think that's because the bay, the force of the winds was sucking the water out of the bay.
Right.
And so that's, I mean, that's good news for them because they were concerned about that storm surge. Speaking of storm surge, John Scalzi saying that Venice had 5.3 feet of storm surge. That is actually good news. Here's why. It was hitting at low tide.
Right.
And so hopefully, and we're still waiting for word, that they will not see some of the catastrophic damage that we saw with Hurricane Helene. Again, we're still assessing that, and we'll bring that to you as soon as we can. But 5.3 feet, a lot better than the 8 to 12 that was being projected.
And we know there was been flooding, but it definitely was better than initially thought.
Yes,
We've got more reporters out and about. Sophia Vitello found some damage in, I believe it's Osprey. Let's take a look.
Hey there, this is Sophia Vitello with ABC 7 News. We're assessing the damage from Hurricane Milton. I'm on Osprey Avenue in downtown Sarasota. Look at this site. This tree, this huge tree, completely on the ground. I mean, look at those roots. Look at the roots. I mean, it was ripped from the ground, pulled from the ground, absolutely just thrust upwards, pushed onto the playground. Sadly, that playground now destroyed over there. This playground is usually full of people, very lively. There's trees everywhere. Look at that one. There's another tree. Look at that tree. Wow. And again, the roots ripped with it. It's not even like the tree ripped in half. The entire tree from the bottom came out of the ground. That just shows you the intensity of the winds that we were dealing with here in Sarasota. We're going to keep walking around, driving around the area, but look at this site. Wow. I mean, this is something that sometimes you don't see in a lifetime. I'm going to keep you guys updated here on ABC 7 News.
Well, that's why we evacuated. That's right from the station. That was Osprey Avenue in Sarasota, as Sophia mentioned. And interesting, one of those trees was snapped off at the base where the roots stayed in the ground, and then that other tree had the whole root system toppled over too. So a combination of wet ground and gusty 100-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah, and as you said, we're going to continue to see a lot of these types of things from those heavy winds, 100 miles an hour throughout the Sun Coast. We want to go over to Lisa Modrick, and where's she taking us?
I believe she was at their condo in the South Bradenton area, because I know Mike would never have let her go outside and do anything risky. So we're going to look to see what she was able to see from their area.
Morning, I'm Kathy McDonald, and this is my husband, Roy McDonald. We are happy to have survived Milton. It was a much better situation for us than with either Debbie or Helene. Hopefully there's not too much damage to the rest of our complex, but it's looking pretty good right now.
Would you stay through another hurricane?
Yes.
And have you stayed through hurricanes before?
We have, because we're on the 4th floor and we have Miami-Dade rated windows, so we feel pretty secure. We didn't even have any water in the tracks for our sliders on the south side, so it was much less of a rain event for us than it was for with Debbie or Helene. I'm not so sure some of our neighbors to the south fared as well, though.
Thank you.
Morning, I'm Kathy McDonald, and this is my
All
husband.
right, I feel like we need to clarify something here. Lisa Modrick, Mike Modrick's wife, our meteorologist, was not the woman with another man in the video. Lisa Modrick was playing reporter, and we're very proud of her, and I just felt like I needed to say that since her husband is sitting behind me.
Yes, thank you for clarifying
Mike,
that.
are you coming in to chat? I won't mention that you're not wearing shoes.
Thank you for that. Yes, she was the one holding the camera.
I'm very proud of her.
She's very good.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been trained by one of the best.
That's what she would say.
I'm sure
Yes.
she would. So, all right.
Yeah,
That's your corner.
I was very impressed that she was able to ask those questions. You know,
You're right. No,
we're
I
all
agree.
trained to do the who, what, where, when, why, how many, ask those questions. She knows that from sales, because sales and being a reporter are very similar professions in that regard. I'm going to go back to my corner.
Go back to your corner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
We're trying to make light of what we can. But no, I think it's a very valid point that for South Bradenton, it was better for them in the big picture than Helene, where they saw that rushing water.
Right.
Than Debbie, when we just saw all that rain with nowhere to go.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Not true in every area, but true in Bayshore Gardens.
You know, and Pinellas County can probably say that as well, because so many people experience catastrophic storm surge. Thousands of people.
The coastline.
And even those inland canals. You know, there's a lot. And Pinellas County is so low-lying as well that thousands of people up there, you know, lost their homes during Hurricane Helene. And, you know, again, to be faced with another hurricane less than 2 weeks later, very traumatic for people. So I think people are breathing that collective sigh of relief overall,
Right.
especially in those those areas as well. So.
Yeah, right now what we are seeing is primarily wind damage. I do
Yeah.
understand up in Hillsborough County they've had a little bit more of a water issue. But I mean, St. Pete, to have Tropicana Field be damaged and to have a crane tumble, there's definitely a lot going on there.
Yeah, we want to swing back to our Jordan Litwiller.
Yes.
He is in Twin Oaks in Bradenton. He's bringing us an update on some of the damage there. And so let's go to Jordan.
Guys, I'm here at the Twin Oaks community in Bradenton, and now we're getting our first look at some of the damage left behind by Hurricane Milton. You can see this property suffering some major damage right away. This is one of the first things that I saw when I drove in here to the community. I'm going to flip the camera around and show you a better look now. Here you can see what appeared to be the top of the carport. The beams on the side just appearing to give way, and now that roof of the carport sitting on the driveway in this house. And it's a very common sight to see in all of the screens here in this community appearing to completely give way. And if you look back at this house over here, that's actually the siding came off and peeled off of that home, and you can actually see into their house right now. But I'm just going to take a little walk around the community and show you a little bit more about what we're seeing. This appears to be one of the hardest hit areas of the community. It's hard to even tell what some of this originally was, but all of this, lots of shattered glass here in the front yard, chairs and furniture, and it appears to be something from parts of this home ended up just getting peeled back and now resting on the neighboring house here. And as far as any flooding or water here in this community, there doesn't really appear to be a whole lot of puddling going on right now. This is the most standing water that I've seen here in this community, and it's not too bad. It looks drivable. So that lines up with what we've been hearing from emergency officials here in Bradenton. I talked to them this morning, and they say that their main concern is going to be these mobile home structures, as the biggest threat for this area was the extremely high wind gusts. So they're focused on getting to these mobile homes and making sure that people are okay. That's the main priority that they talked to me about this morning, and they're getting a better idea of what the realities are as the sun comes up, and the realities are becoming a lot clearer now. Now I'll toss it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Jordan. You know, Jordan spent the night at the Manatee County EOC. We always embed a reporter at each of our county's EOCs, and the reason is they have all the information, right? When we're here in the heart of the storm, we're not getting any information about the community. We're focusing with our meteorologist on the storm. So Jordan spent a sleepless night getting information with them and is now on the streets looking for, you know, stories to tell and damage to report. That was a harsh reminder of why we evacuate manufactured homes. They can only handle so much. I'm no construction expert. I don't know what their wind rating is, but obviously it's not wind rated to any category of hurricane that we have, because you're always encouraged and told to evacuate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully everyone's okay there.
A family member reporting to me that their mobile home, manufactured home, which is in Palmetto, on the water, just shy of Sneed Island, survived.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hit or miss. Obviously, plenty parts of the Twin Oaks Park was fine, but those are the kind of reports of damage that we're starting to see come in over and over and over right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, where do we want to go now? How about can we maybe go a little bit north to the sinkhole?
Yeah, there's a sinkhole. We actually saw this come in this morning. Gry, do you have access to that sinkhole?
Yeah, so this is Hillsborough County sinkhole.
In District 5, which I couldn't tell you how far north it is.
Look
at this. That is a sidewalk, and the road have virtually collapsed into the ground. That definitely has gotten bigger since we saw it this morning. It was very, very early when we saw it this morning. Talk about an unintended storm consequence. And I'll have to ask the meteorologist about why sinkholes tend to form. They're going to come look at this video too. I mean, I know in Florida why they form, John, but check this out.
This is the first time I'm seeing this, and it is quite remarkable.
Hillsborough County, I don't know precisely
District
where.
5,
I'm not sure
we'll
where
have to
District
find
5
out where
is.
that is.
There's only one reason why you form a sinkhole, and that's because the under-earth structure is compromised. So it's either compromised by a water main break, or it's compromised by the limestone underneath being collapsed over time by rainwater.
Right. And something just
hard to
caused
say
it to
why
go.
that one.
Yeah.
What happens in this situation? Are they able to repair it? Do those people have to move away? What happens here?
Can you
Depends on the
fill
size.
it?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
fill them up, but it depends on the size of the sinkhole and the depth of the sinkhole and what the root cause of the sinkhole is. But a lot of them, that one looks like a fairly small one, they just fill it up.
Oof, that would make me nervous to have
I'm
a,
saying, and-
once a
and then-
sinkhole, always a
and then if
sinkhole.
you're
Some of them are
right?
huge. Some of them become lakes, so it's.
Wow.
Okay,
That is
so
unbelievable.
this,
Okay.
when I was working this morning with everyone, this is what it looked like, and then the difference of the size that we're seeing now. So yeah, it's interesting. Just one of those side things that's more of a Florida phenomena, I think, than a hurricane phenomena. But maybe some rushing waters.
Well, it depends
contributed to
again
it.
on what causes it. I mean, if
Right.
it's
Yeah.
caused by a rush of water through a broken pipe or through a broken drainage culvert, then any place can get that, so long as the soil is sandy enough.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Hillsborough County's providing a fair amount of new video this morning. We've got a lot of flooding there. John was showing us earlier how they were on the heavier side of that hurricane with the northern bands being
Right.
really
Oh,
full
look at that.
of
You
a lot
got
of water. So
cars
yeah,
submerged there.
submerged cars, standing water. I walked by and saw some updates of rescues occurring in Hillsborough County due to flooded waters. So they got a lot of rain. Again, different situations in every county, and all of it requiring our first responders to be giving all of their time and attention to us.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I certainly appreciate.
absolutely.
Sarasota County wants to point out that because there are still a lot of flooded roadways, I know we say it over and over, turn around, don't drown. I know we're putting an optimistic spin on, we prepared for much worse, and most people are having a better than expected scenario today, but that doesn't mean that there aren't still a lot of water roadways, a lot of flooded roadways. We want to make sure we aren't driving into them and ending up with a situation today worse than what we dealt with last night.
Yeah, and same with Bradenton Police. They are also putting out the warning to tell people to stay inside unless you absolutely have to be out. You can see roof blown off. You can see down trees. We have some Bradenton video. Let's go ahead and go to that because they provided that video to us as well. And they are assessing the damage across the city in Bradenton. But again, they want people still to stay inside. If you don't have to be out, stay inside. Don't go out. There's just no reason to at this point. Let the first responders do their job.
Absolutely. And it's a little tempting because guess what? It's really nice outside, and it's really nice to have it be really nice outside. But again, we're asking you not to go any farther than maybe your front yard or so. But let's find out how long it's going to be a little bit cooler and drier, and certainly what we can expect as we head through the week. John, long night last night. Nice to have some optimistic weather today.
It's a gift. It really is for those folks who are without air conditioning today, who have power outages. This is a gift. We're looking at some actually, if it wasn't for a hurricane that just came through, this would be a wonderful treat, and everybody would be saying how wonderful the weather is. In fact, it is a pretty big change from yesterday. Winds died down. The waters are going to start receding. In fact, everything is so good that every watch warning across the area, including that storm surge warning that we had earlier this morning for Charlotte and Sarasota counties, have been eliminated. They've been allowed to expire, or they've been canceled because we just don't have any issues. The only issue left is a rip current advisory, and hopefully nobody's thinking about getting out there and doing any kind of windsurfing or anything this afternoon, because there's still plenty of hazardous water conditions still lingering across the Sun Coast. This is the tide gauge. I've been showing this all morning long. It's recently updated, so you get the latest information here. And this is the prediction of the tide predictions you get from a tide chart, what mariners use all the time to know when high and low tide is coming. It's very, very easy and precise to predict tides in the future, because we know how the sun and the moon and the earth orbit around, and we can predict the tides accurately. What we can't always predict is the actual level of the water when events like storms come through, or hurricanes, or cold fronts. Then that can certainly vary the water level quite a bit. And you can see as we went through time yesterday how we had this sudden spike in the observed water level versus the predicted water level by the tide charts. That's our storm surge. Then after the storm surge occurred, which wasn't nearly the storm surge predicted, thankfully, we started seeing actually water drain out of the Port of Manatee here. It was pushed away by the strong winds that we had, pushing it offshore. And in fact, ever since that moment, we have seen the observed tide lower than the predicted tide. And that's the reason they decided to, I think, cancel the watches across the area, the warnings as well. As far as the tides go, the storm surge tides, looking at the numbers across the area, they've been pretty good, actually. Writing on the back of napkins, anything I can get my hands on. Venice, the only report we have of a significant surge was 5.3 feet. That was at Venice. And then at Shamrock Point Park, which is Casperson Beach, really, we had a 7-foot storm surge, but that could have been more due to the shape of the coastline at that particular spot, 7.45. And then at the Port of Manatee, my calculation is we're talking about a 2-foot storm surge, so virtually nothing at all. And for a lot of the day, it was a negative storm surge. So all in all, we made out pretty well on the storm surge front. Over the course of the next several days, if you look at the severe storm risk, this is kind of good. We just, after all of those tornadoes that we had, we really don't have any for Thursday, for Friday, for Saturday. Not even a thunderstorm predicted, so couldn't be any better than that for a chance to dry out. You look at the rain showers that we have across the region, and they're really kind of pretty light, actually, just a little bit of light rainfall out in the Gulf waters, and they're kind of moving away. Now that the circulation of Milton has now moved out in the Atlantic waters, after making landfall right in Sarasota County, Siesta Key, crossing south of Orlando, and then moving out into the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico, the winds have now become a little bit to the north, and that north wind is pushing all of those showers away from the shore. So we're looking at much improved conditions today. I see lots of sunshine out there and some pretty pleasant temperatures as well. As we go through the day today, the chance of rain is virtually nothing. Went from 20% this morning for those light sprinkles and showers. As we go into the afternoon, I call it 0. Really not much of a chance for the next several days, in fact. The weather improves today, obviously. We'll look for several cool nights, which will be of a big benefit to those who just don't have any power, unfortunately. Hopefully you get that back fairly quickly, but it could take a while. There's a lot of people without power right now. So, to open up the windows at night, you'll get a nice little breeze. You'll get dew points that have fallen into the 60s, which feels, frankly, kind of fall-like. And we'll see air temperatures that fall into the maybe mid to low 70s, accompanying that low dew point value. So, a lot of people, even with power, would choose to probably turn off their air conditioners and open their windows with nights like we're going to see over the next few nights. So good stuff there. Low rain chances for several days. You want to get out there and maybe you have some work to do around your yard, cleaning up debris, down trees. You want to do a little chainsawing, whatever, to get those logs and tree limbs away from your property. Then the rain chances will cooperate for that. We still have some issues, though, and they're on the safety list for today. People are running generators. People do have some compromised water, mostly to the north of us where there have been some water main breaks. I have not been made aware of any water main breaks in our area, either Sarasota or Manatee County. But still, probably a good idea to drink bottled water for at least a day or two until we have confirmation that all the water supplies have been checked, all the municipal potable water is safe to drink, which I'm sure will come in short order. Generator safety, be very careful of the exhaust fumes of any gasoline-powered engine, obviously. It contains carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, and you just don't want that pushed back into your house, so don't run your generator over a carport attached to your house, in your garage, on your lanai, anywhere where those fumes could get back to the interior and to the occupants. Take pictures if you're going to be cleaning up debris around your house, multiple pictures. They made a great point in the governor's news conference today. As you're taking those pictures, take them from all angles of the damage and make sure you have a reference point when you take picture of the water line in your house. If you did take on water, you want to make sure that there's like a plug, electrical outlet, or a doorknob, or something that is by code of fixed height, so when they assess it, they know exactly how high that water was. Contact your family. I personally had tons of texts from my family. It's a national news story, so a worldwide news story, actually. So if you got a lot of text, be sure and acknowledge that. And stay informed by watching this channel or your favorite news source, I suppose, and watch for downed power lines. Don't go near them. Don't touch them. Call the power company and report them. Back to you, ladies.
All right, thanks, John.
We want to talk about some outages. We have an update on the outages. Manatee County reporting just over 200,000 people still remaining without power, and that exact number, 201,655. So 200,000, give or take. Earlier we heard that was percentage-wise, what was that, 82%?
Yeah, about 80%.
Not sure if that's still valid, but that's quite a bit of outages.
And this is live FPL that you're looking at.
165,000
165,000
so that's
FPL.
going
right.
down from
Should
the
be
200,000.
Tico may do a little bit of Manatee County, but
Okay.
at least FPL-wise,
Okay.
Hopefully things continue to go down. And it's in
Yeah.
a constant state of flux.
It is, and it's still a large majority. So let's make
Right.
sure that people know. Most of you are probably still without power, listening to us either on the radio or figuring out a way to stream, maybe on your phone.
Or on your cell phone, right?
Yeah. Sarasota, let's talk about Sarasota County. Those outages at last check here, 227,240. That was the official number. And let's see, is that
That's about
tracking?
what we're getting from FPL
Okay,
too. So.
there you go. So
Yeah, tons of power outages.
that's about 75% of the folks there. So more people without power than have power.
Yes, and I think we're all realizing that from our family and friends too. I know now that it's a little bit later, everybody's up, starting to text each other, are you okay? Do you have power? And pretty much everybody I've heard from does not have power.
Yeah,
So
same.
it's pretty rare. All right, our crews are out and about checking on the situation, and Sophia Vitello stopped by Marina Jack's right there on the water in Sarasota. Let's see what she found.
Hey there, this is Sophia Vitello with ABC7 News. Now I'm at Marina Jack here in downtown Sarasota. We know the Bayfront Park, this area normally gets hit really hard. Well, we're seeing some of the damage from Milton. Take a look at that. Wow, that is shore fishing charters. That's a spot that residents or tourists would go to rent a fishing boat. Well, it's going to need some serious repairs. Now you can see it's slanted, it was lifted upwards. We don't know the extent of the damage inside. We're going to be looking around the marina here to see if any boats were damaged as well, but that place is always very busy. We know that that is a hub for the community here, but I mean, even look right here next to me. This area is just known for getting it really hard, sadly. So I'm going to be trying to find those spots for you, but it is shocking to see some of this damage.
All right, thank you, Sophia. She got out nice and early this morning to show us what's going on there. And I mean, we hate to see any of that damage, but probably not too surprising right there.
Yeah, especially, being on the water, and we saw that shore fishing charters, so, that charter boat company, obviously they keep their boats there. People go out for fishing charters, and it looks like they had some pretty serious damage to that vessel.
Absolutely, and we'll continue to see that popping up around the area. All right, our producer Bry's running the show now. We are just following her. What else do we have for us to look at, Bry?
Damage around Bradenton Apartments.
Okay, Bradenton apartment damage. We're going to take a look at that. I know Jordan went up there and took a look around, and that pretty much just looks like fences. So all things considered, fences and trees, about what we expect, honestly, from a weak hurricane. So the fact that, think back of how anxious we were 24, 30 hours ago with a Cat 5 storm in the Gulf. I mean, it's just been such a stressful few days for everybody to be looking at these apartment complexes and only be talking about tree and fence damage. I think we got to chalk that up as a win.
And did we, when the storm finally came ashore, was it a Cat 3 or a Cat 2?
That's a meteorologist question. Landfall, Cat 3 or Cat 2, meteorologist? 3.
Okay.
Peak wind speed at landfall? 120 at landfall. Siesta Key, yes. So. Okay, well, confirmed 102 on land in Sarasota. So again, to see that Bradenton damage, those are 100-mile-per-hour winds. I
Yeah.
mean, really,
Yeah.
it shows our buildings are in good shape in terms of structural. I think we've come so far. We've come so far in the past, 10, 20 years
Yeah.
for feeling secure in our structures.
I mean, this was a true test because we have not seen, obviously, this huge of a hurricane and then this level of
Not as a
winds.
landfall.
As a landfall,
Yep,
right?
not
And
as a
as you
landfall.
said, we've had a lot of new construction, and so I think people, while we want to trust the construction, there's always that nerve. You're a little nervous where you're like, is my house going to make it? Is this house really going to hold up like they're telling me it is? And that's always the dance that you do. It's such a wild card. So far so good. It is reassuring to see that a lot of the homes, at least from what we're seeing now, the newer construction, other homes remaining intact.
Yep, again, our crew's out and about. Brendan found, I think, something that's going to make us feel good. Emergency vehicles on the way to provide help. Let's see what he found.
Hey guys, I am Brendan Mackey here with ABC7, and currently we're on I-75 North, and this is the Urban Search and Rescue Florida Task Force. We've also seen the Miami-Dade Search and Rescue Task Force. There's about 50 cars right now in this caravan going down this highway, and it's incredible to see how many of these people are coming to help others. I mean, look at this, right here, another one. This one has a ice machine attached to it, and one of those gator cars, a couple gator cars, obviously to get around places that are going to be tough to drive through now. So stay with us here at ABC7 as we continue to give you the coverage of everyone being helped from Hurricane Milton.
All right, thank you very much. We should point out that Brendan is obviously not driving, so
Yes.
he was being safe with that look live for us. Those are some big trucks. That's the kind of help that Governor DeSantis is talking about.
Yeah.
That everybody was mobilized and waiting through the storm and is now ready to move in. Why do we need those trucks? Because there are big, massive trees down all across every county. They can get in there and move those. Each of our counties only owns one or two of those type of vehicles because they're expensive, and we don't need them most of the time.
Yeah.
So I love that when these storms happen, we get to use everybody else's resource. Everybody pulls together. The quicker they get those trees off the roads, the quicker you and I can go home and check on our own properties. The quicker you can leave your homes and check on your family and friends, or come out of shelter and get moving. So it's very heartwarming to see.
Yeah, and the state's response has been quite impressive. When the state goes into this emergency mode, it is go mode. It is all hands on deck. It is a multi-agency effort. And it really has been impressive to see. And I think a lot of people have been commenting on social media how impressed they are with the governor's response and the logistics and being able to handle everything, calling in the state guard, working with the feds, working with local agencies. That has been very reassuring to a lot of people to know that, they feel like they've got it covered, that they're in good hands, at least when it comes to the state, local, and federal officials having their backs.
And I feel that that's very reassuring because we know we choose to live here. We live in a place that has hurricanes. There's a price for paradise, I've heard people say this week. But at least we know when these things do happen that our government does a very nice job here in the state organizing and responding. So great to see trucks on the way. It's going to get better. It's a process.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be a weeks or months long process, which I'm very appreciative of.
Yeah, they are moving very quickly, I will say.
Yep.
So that's good to know. We want to go to Punta Gorda now because we have some video of some damage just coming into our newsroom. There you see right now, you see it looks like some tree debris there. It's actually someone walking over there. And this was taken just not too long ago, 8:40 this morning.
Yeah, first light today, so this is fresh video. This is reassuring to me. Punta Gorda, oh gosh, just decimated by Hurricane Charlie. No doubt they were holding their breaths. We keep saying how, Sarasota and Tampa had not had a direct hit. Punta Gorda has had a direct hit. So they were so greatly impacted by Charlie. I have no doubt they were extremely concerned about this storm, and to just be looking at,
got a street sign
signs and trees and, just junk
Yeah.
stuff. We can clean that up.
Yeah.
That's very, very manageable. So
Yeah.
thank you to them for sharing that. I'm glad to see that they have clearing skies down to our south. I did get reports last night and saw a video that Fort Myers Beach actually had a pretty good soaking and storm surge, and you know that they were extremely impacted by Ian.
Yeah.
So we did hate to see a lot of standing water yesterday on Fort Myers. Hopefully we'll have seen that recede without a lot of problem today.
Yeah. We also have some water rescues that we want to share with you. This is in Orange County. So this is more the middle of the state, Orange County, Orlando area.
Right.
And
they got a
let's-
lot of rain early this morning as
Yeah.
that storm, that's probably when you
it
were
moved
resting.
inland.
As that storm, Orange County,
Orange
Bri,
County.
as that storm moved north and east into Orlando and,
Wow.
oh wow.
Look at that.
Okay, so that's a water rescue. This is why I'm glad we did a good job heeding our evacuation orders, because it is awful to ask our first responders to go out there and do this. We know they will for us,
Yeah.
but they're putting their own lives at risk as well to save yours.
Yeah, this is members of the Orange County Fire Team. They performed those multiple water rescues when people needed help to try to get out of their homes. And that's the thing about this storm is that, we were all concerned about storm surge, and it affected different areas in different ways. But even that far inland in Orlando, look at that. I mean, that is up to their knees, above their knees. That's got to be 2 to 3 feet of water right there.
Absolutely. So a huge, amazing job being done by Orange County there. This just shows you that while we are sitting and sheltering and being worried about the storms, our first responders are out there. We did some very early interviews this morning, like Northport. I asked, did you have to do any rescues? And they said no. Sarasota was not able to tell me if they had been out and done rescues simply because they hadn't communicated with each other yet. I'm sure that's the kind of thing we'll be learning as we go throughout the day. But just a real visual look at the hard, tough things that happen, while we are resting and sleeping as well. Bradenton Police just posted on social media, the traffic lights not working so well. There's a lot of damage, a lot of power outages. We're still being asked not to go out on the roads, but if you do have a reason that you have to go, and I don't mean to look at something, I mean because you have something you have to go get accomplished, got to remember that these lights on the whole are not functional. Treat everything as a four-way stop. I know Bradenton Police is trying to mark as many of the main intersections as they can with their cars to just have people be very, very careful.
And sometimes people do forget that. If you come up to an intersection, any intersection, and a light is out, stop. Treat it as a four-way stop. Treat it as a stop sign. Don't just go through, oh, there's no light here, I'm just going to go through. And I have seen a lot of people when the traffic lights were out, just going through the intersection.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. Got to stop.
So you got to treat it as that four-way stop. So just a reminder. But again, if you can stay inside, please do not go out yet. Give these first responders time to get things up and running. It is still very early in the aftermath of this storm. So it's not like, okay, the storm's over, we can just go about our daily lives. It's going to take some time.
Absolutely, it is. And quite honestly, here's the reason you're going to want to stay home. You're going to get stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
There are trees down everywhere. I'm starting to get, and my friends are finally waking up and looking outside and walking their neighborhoods with the dogs, which it's okay to take a walk around the neighborhood as long as you're not going through standing water. You're being mindful of, down power lines and things like that. Walk around, check on your neighbors, talk about the experiences. That sense of community is amazing. But don't go any farther than that, because I am hearing reports that within our neighborhoods, there are all sorts of trees down, so that if you try to go somewhere, you're likely to get stuck. Then you're having to turn back around. It's just easier right now to stay put. All right, I believe Sophia Vitella has done a little wandering as well.
Yeah, so let's go to Sophia, see what she has for us now.
Hey there, this is Sophia Vitella with ABC 7 News. We are at the Bayfront Park showing you more shocking damage left behind by Hurricane Milton. You see this boat here on the sidewalk, completely ripped up from the water. But this is the crazy part. They tried to keep this boat down. You can see it's still really tightly woven to this dock, but the dock came up with it. So that's just something you can't even battle against. When that wind is just so strong, it pulls up the dock and the boat. There's dozens of residents really here walking around. I mean, car after car. Everybody's coming and looking at the sights here because we know that Bayfront, you get these crazy sights here. It usually gets rocked really hard. We still have a boat over there from Helene just hanging out. So This is not uncommon for the area. I'm going to keep looking around and seeing if I can find more damage for you.
All right, it took us a little bit to understand that because we cannot hear things all that well as they go out over the air, but the entire dock with the boat tied to it ended up out of the water and into the park. So despite the fact that we didn't have a devastating storm surge, we obviously had a lot of water sloshing out up in the bay, including sloshing boats and docks.
I wondered about that because they say to loosely tie your boat to secure your boat to your dock loosely in case you get the storm surge, for example. So the boat itself doesn't float away. But I wondered about that if the docks are strong enough to hold those boats when you see those intense winds. And in this case, that's exactly what happened.
And by the way, way too many people walking around Bayfront Park there because first responders are trying to get in and make sure there weren't people in the boat, that nobody else was injured in that. So let's, give everybody enough space to get their jobs done this morning.
And we get that natural curiosity. We know, we understand that you guys are wanting to go out there. So we just want to let you know, let us be your eyes and ears. Let us show you. This is why we have our trained reporters who are trained in safety measures. They can go out there. They will bring all of the pictures. We're doing the best we can so that you can stay home and focus on your home and not be out there in the way of first responders. Okay, Bri, can you tell us where we're going next, please?
A rescue. This is Pinellas County, word of a rescue, and that's daylight video. So this was this morning. Wow. Thank you, first responders. They went into an area in the county. I don't have an exact locator on this, and obviously took those people out of harm's way, and you can see them being escorted to safety. I'm going to say it again, and I know we sound like broken records. This is why we want you to stay off the roadways. Let these trucks, let these guys and girls and men and women go out and do the jobs and rescue people. They're out there saving lives. We're curious about down trees and power lines because we all are. We know it. We are, you are, we all admit it. But they're out there saving lives. If that's not the reason to get you to stay home, I don't know what can be. That was great. Wow.
And that is, and we don't know, we'll work to find out the story behind that. But we'll continue to follow
Absolutely.
that. Absolutely.
I want to know exactly where that is and make sure they get the appropriate shout out. Things definitely dicey up to our north. I've been hearing this from my friends. This is a look at Bayshore Boulevard. We know Bayshore Boulevard often ends up with the bay on the road in the Tampa area, but that's a fair amount of damage. I am wondering if that's the side of the convention center. No, it's definitely
Do we know
not.
Specifically where this is, guys?
We don't. We just have it as Bayshore Boulevard. To me, Bayshore Boulevard is more those condos and homes around the water. This appears to be a little bit closer to downtown, and I'm not positive that was correctly labeled. So we'll have to find out more about that. But definitely damage in Hillsborough
you can
County.
see the debris on the ground.
Can't surprise us too much that we're seeing that.
And we're going to see more and more of that in Tampa. Go ahead.
Body camera footage of Tampa police evacuating a home.
All right, more evacuation reports out of Hillsborough County. And again, kudos to our first responders. This is their body cam of the rescues that they were doing up in Hillsborough County and in Tampa, of course. And look at that. Look at those first responders suiting up, grabbing kids, saving lives, just unbelievably great work being done in Hillsborough County and Tampa by our first responders.
It is really scary, and you can see the urgency in this video, just them going into action, calm but measured, urgent, moving quickly, getting people to safety. You see a little child, a young child there, and gosh, it just always hits me differently as a mom when you see these kids in harm's way. So I'm glad that little child and all those people are safe.
Yeah, it did appear to have a good ending there. Again, we want you to stay off the roads, but if you are venturing out of your homes into your neighborhood, maybe down the sidewalk, as long as there's no standing water or power lines, shoot a picture for us. Give us some video. We are trying to give everybody looks outside because we know that's what you want right now. All you have to do is hold your phone horizontally and press record and then upload 10 seconds of video on our Share It tabs. I know with the power outages we're seeing reported, a great majority of you watching or listening, certainly if you're watching, are probably doing it on your phone. So you could go to our webpage and hit that Share It tab and upload any local videos you have. If you can give us a locator, it makes it a lot easier for us to explain what we're looking at and then show your neighbors and your friends. And gosh, I know people watching us all over the country because their family members are here and they want to make sure everybody is okay. If you can give us any pictures, then we can start letting people know what the neighborhoods are like around the
And,
Suncoast.
you know, we are ABC7, your local station. We are the only local station exclusively serving Sarasota and Manatee counties. And so people want to know. People are tuning into us. We have people, as you said, Steph, from all over the country reaching out, emailing us, texting us, trying to find out what's going on where you guys are, because this Hurricane Milton, came ashore, the eye came ashore at Siesta Key, world famous Siesta Key, known for its beautiful beaches around the world. And so all eyes are focused on our community right now. And we have a lot of support, a lot of people behind us, a lot of people praying for our communities. And we really appreciate that so much.
Absolutely. And Stephanie, to your point, once it was made known that the landfall was at Siesta Key, anybody that's ever been there, anybody that knows you visit there is now watching and interested.
Yeah.
And we are going to get some more information about the various things going on around the area. Okay, great news. We're going to talk to Sarasota Memorial Hospital. We've been praising the first responders across the area, and nobody is more of a first responder than our awesome medical personnel. The CEO of Sarasota Memorial, David, I'm going to say your last name wrong. I'll let you do it. This is Stephanie Stanton and Stephanie Roberts here. David, tell your last name for me.
Sure. Hey, Stephanie, this is David Verinder.
Verinder, and I apologize. I'll blame Dean, our awesome executive producer's bad handwriting on that. Tell us the status of things at Sarasota Memorial Hospital now post-storm.
Sure. First off, I'd like to just call out to all of our staff who really came in and are the heroes of the day, just came in, took care of all of our patients, put their families, left their families, left their homes to take care of our communities. We just can't thank them enough. They keep showing up every time to do that. We ended up having about 4,600 people here last night, it was like everybody did very well. The status of our hospitals, both hospitals, both Sarasota campus and the Venice campus, as well as our Northport ER, are all up and operational. We are transitioning right now our A team to our B team. So anyone who's listening that's on the B team, you need to call your leaders and start that transition process. Our ORs are going to be up and operational tomorrow. We are assessing all of our outpatient clinics, which are all of our 7 urgent cares around town, plus all of our physician offices. And if they have electricity and water, and staff are able to get there, we will be open and operational. So we're getting up to speed pretty quickly.
That's some great news.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for all the hard work that you do and that your staff does. You know, we just want to, it bears worth repeating that these are staffers who gave up time to be with their own families, to come and do the critical work that they need to be a first responder and take care of those patients at the hospitals. So we are very appreciative of that.
I tell you, it's a pretty remarkable group of people. So, give them a hug if you see them.
Absolutely. Let's talk about emergency services, because I know one of our big concerns is that people are going to be out cutting trees and doing things. And, obviously safety first, but things do happen. All good with emergency rooms? Somebody has an issue that they are safe to go?
Yes, all 3 of our emergency rooms are open and operational. We have the trauma center on the Sarasota campus. Plus the ER, the emergency room in Venice, on the Venice Hospital campus, and then on Toledo Blade and Northport, all open and operating, and hopefully we'll be getting the urgent cares open and operating as well.
David, have you seen people being brought in, any reports of any injuries, or have your ERs, have they gotten more crowded, or I would imagine it's pretty quiet because people were hunkering down?
It's strange during a storm, and I've gone through many of them here. During a storm, it gets really eerily quiet. Not a whole lot goes on while the storm's going on. The next morning, you open up, and you definitely have some emergency cases, some trauma cases coming in, whether it's storm related or if people just had medical conditions that happened during the storm.
Sure.
So that is going on right now. We have good flow. We have good. It's not like we're inundated. So we definitely can see people, and we have a good process going. Hopefully it stays that way. I would anticipate that it would.
Good to know.
Okay, good. Well, again, thank you for all of your work. I know you said you're transitioning in between teams, and I know that means you have a team that was just up for a very, very long time. So hopefully they can get their much-needed rest, and we appreciate everything you do here in the community.
Yeah, and quickly, David, before we let you go, explain to the people how that works. Do you have rotating teams? Are they 12 hours on? Do they just work the whole way through? How do you structure your emergency teams in the hospital?
Yeah, we basically we have a team A and a team B, and once we decide to go into a lockdown status, team A is here, and they're here until we're done. So it's not a 12-hour thing. It's in this case, I don't even remember. My days are all messed up in my head right now, but probably 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
Now during that time, they certainly have times that they're working and times they're sleeping. Okay.
Right.
But they're once you get locked in, you're locked in.
Yeah.
And then that's why it's so critical. The team B is as important as team A is because you got to relieve these guys.
Right.
Because they're wiped out. And they also want to get home and see their families and check on their houses and property as well. Hey, before I do want to, I always like to leave some good news or some interesting fact. We did have 7 babies born.
Oh, I love that. And I hope none of them are named Milton.
I was going to say, I think they went around and asked if anybody was naming a baby Milton, and I don't think we had any takers, so
I mean,
Any girls named Millie? I don't know. We'll have to
it could be a
see.
cute middle name because there's a story attached, right? But
Oh, I love that. As things kind of get back to normal here, any chance that maybe we could send a camera crew down and meet the hurricane babies?
oh, that's a great idea. We know who to call to bother about that.
Yes.
So that's great.
I'm sure you do. Exactly.
All right, David, thank you for your update. Thank you for being such a pillar in the community. And we really appreciate your team putting in some long hours.
Yeah, thank you so much, David.
We really appreciate you guys highlighting this too and keeping an interest in us. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day safely.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
You know
All
what?
right.
I love that. That just made me smile.
7 babies born. I mean, you and I are both mothers, and everybody's
Yes.
birth story is different. But to have it in the middle of a hurricane,
Could you imagine this? You're already under stress. And then you're
on the
having
other
a
hand, you
baby.
do know you're in a safe place. I mean, I
Yes,
can't think
yes.
if you were a place I'd feel more safe,
Yeah.
than a well-built hospital built to withstand such storms.
That
so
did make me
that
happy.
did.
It
That
brought
made
a
all of
little
us smile. We
smile.
needed that. I
We
know,
gotta
Mike.
meet the hurricane babies. We'll
That's
be
right.
calling him.
Mike Modrick, do you smile when you hear hurricane babies? That was a fun little end.
I am way too punchy and tired to
Appropriately respond.
Yes, not suitable for work. This is, again, around the condo where I live. You see that big dumpster, and it was filled up to the brim. We'll go back to the beginning here in just a moment here. That was one of the big concerns with what happens with all of the debris. This is all left over from Helene, that big cube of styrofoam. I'm shocked it didn't blow away. All those pieces of wood that were in that dumpster, all of this is left over from Helene. I'm going to take you to the end shot here because I think the governor and also John Scalzi made a very good point. When you're taking pictures, take pictures of the high water line. And I say I don't see a high water line here at this property. During Helene, or I should say the aftermath of Helene, we had a high water line. We had a high water line that was halfway up to tires on cars. I don't see a high water line. So this storm for this property of Wild Oak Bay in Manatee County, this was not as bad as Helene was for us. Milton was not, from the way I'm seeing it in the pictures. Obviously, I'm not there to assess the damage personally. But that's Sarasota Bay right there. That nice little palm tree's been there for a long time. It stayed up, so that's good. The water with Helene came it rushed up from the bay and then rushed back as Helene went away. So that was comforting news. All of this damage, this looks horrible. This used to be a lush back area. You see, this is the St. Augustine grass. The beautiful thing about St. Augustine grass is it can take a hit from the salt water, get covered with the salt water, but it'll come back, especially if you get it, if it gets some rain and that takes some of the salt away. So that St. Augustine grass is still there. This looks rough as can be, but all of this happened during Helene. It did not happen. I'll just say this, Milton did not start anything that Helene didn't already finish, if that made any sense to you. All right, so there's one, and I didn't get that last one in that I wanted to, but perhaps it'll be in there in a moment. Still a 75% power outage across Sarasota County, 77 in Manatee County. That's down from 85% before the sun came up. So anything that's down is good. 98% here in Hardy County, and 55% in DeSoto County. That's down 2% there. That number in Hardy County has not changed. I think perhaps at one point Hardy County was at 99%, which that's just really awful. 74% power outage still in Pinellas County. That's one of the biggest hits here locally. And then Orange County, which is where Orlando is, this number is up to 20% of the county. They've been getting hit really hard during the morning hours in Orlando and over to Daytona Beach. And I think I have those. This is Daytona Beach. Not raining anymore. It is cloudy at Daytona Beach, but it's not raining anymore. So their visibility is up to 7 miles there. The wind speed north at 18 miles per hour. This is a huge reduction. This is about a third of what it was early this morning. Gusts to 35 miles per hour. That's incredible. That's nearly half of what it was 3 or 4 hours ago. And Orlando, I knew this was going to show up blank, but I wanted to show it to you anyway because now we're no longer getting reports out of the Orlando airport as well as SRQ. We stopped getting reports from SRQ. What time is it now? It's 10:08. So we probably 6-7 hours ago we stopped getting reports out of SRQ. Had that 102 mile per hour wind gust that was recorded, and that was the last report from SRQ. Well, now we're no longer getting reports from the Orlando airport. That could be simply a power outage situation, or it could be damage to the equipment. Here at SRQ, we don't know yet what the situation is. The communication between the weather sensor and the rest of the world has been dicey at best for many months here. Every now and again, on a day, there was a hot summer's day, we'd be seeing a temperature of minus 42 at SRQ. Okay, nobody moves here because the temperature goes down to minus 42. So we're not getting any communication for some of the airports, but that is not to be unexpected. We do get reports still from Punta Gorda and Tampa. These are the steady winds. 14 miles per hour at Punta Gorda, 15 miles per hour in Tampa. And the wind gusts, 30 miles per hour in Tampa, 23 miles per hour in Punta Gorda. We've been talking about that through the morning, that once the sun came out and that energy from the sun started heating up the ground, that heats up the air, and that cycle of the sun's energy is what fuels the wind. So with the sun out now, we've got it's 10:10, and so we've had the sun up for about 2.5 hours, and we're starting to get some higher gusts again. And we'll do that potentially here along the Sun Coast in Sarasota and Manatee counties too, maybe some 30 mile per hour gusts. But that's the extent of it. We're not getting 120 mile per hour winds anymore. And that's why crews have been able to get out and why crews have been able to start improving our life with those power lines. And that may be the last of the slides that I had here. Do I have anybody to toss it to? Our guide, Stephanie Squared, coming up for you.
Thank you,
The
Mike.
Stephanies are here. Listen, we have something actually very hopeful to report, that we are just getting our very first reports back from Siesta Key.
Yes. Our Sophia Vitello has been talking to officials there. She spoke with Commissioner Joe
Nunder.
Thank you. he took some Siesta Key residents onto the island because right now people are not being allowed on the island. But resident Matt Fueyo says that his house is not damaged at all. He tells us that the flooding is also not bad. He says that Hurricane Helene was much worse. Now, we are also hearing, though, that some houses have sustained wind damage. But by all accounts, these preliminary reports that we are getting from Siesta Key, it appears that things are faring much better than a lot of people had anticipated, given the fact that this storm made landfall on Siesta Key.
Now, there's
So
going to be wind damage,
there
and we
is,
recognize that, and
but-
so do they. But that storm surge, remember, we can
Yeah.
hide from wind, we can fix roofs. The water from Helene was
Yes.
just
Yes,
devastating.
so-
So if we're not seeing that,
Yes.
we're not seeing that,
I
is what
wanna
we're hearing.
take this as a shred of hope. Again, not 100% out of the woods, but
Right.
first appearances, it looks like things may have fared better than people had assumed.
Yes.
People were thinking the worst, catastrophic,
Absolutely.
of course.
That said, no one
So-
is being allowed.
Right.
Let's address
You
some of the.
can't get there.
But we're getting a lot of comments on Facebook about things people are worried about and asking us. So we understand you have so many questions. So do we. But a couple of things we will answer. Why are we not talking more about the barrier islands? We don't have any information.
Yeah, this is the first.
This is the first thing we've heard from Siesta Key, and trust me, our crews are there, but they are barricaded from the bridges just like all of you would be. We simply are not getting any information because they're still, the first responders are out there. They're not letting anybody cross the bridges. We have to make sure they're structurally sound. Longboat Key, we heard there was some concern about the causeway near Bird Key, so everybody had to go the south way, and by everybody, I mean law enforcement.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
residents aren't there, our reporters are not there. We're simply getting these little nuggets of information from law enforcement as they provide them. So we don't know about St. Armand's, we don't know much about Longboat Key. The overall vibe that we've been hearing, honestly, since 3 a.m., the water is less than Helene. So that much we're hearing.
and that is
our
a
meteorologists
sigh of
are
relief.
seeing the same things when they look at their storm surge data and tide patterns and all of that. Water, better than we expected. Winds, let's not, mince words. They were 120 miles per hour coming on shore, 101 recorded on land. So they're strong. There's going to be wind damage.
Yeah.
But that catastrophic wipeout does not appear to have happened.
Yes.
So.
What does it look like from Sophia?
Okay, speaking of Sophia, she's been out and about in Sarasota this morning. Let's take a look at something else that she found to show.
Hey there, this is Sophia with ABC 7 News. Now I'm on Lemon Avenue here in downtown Sarasota. I pulled over because I started seeing some Sarasota police cars, and I'm realizing that as you drive throughout the Suncoast, if you do end up on the road today, you're going to see City of Sarasota workers just like this, but with big trucks. They are stopping every time they see debris in the road. So if they see a tree branch, if they see some grass, whatever it is, they're stopping and picking it up and getting it out of the way. So you will have that delay if you do head onto the road, although we still suggest don't go onto the road because this is what needs to be happening right now. We want to make room for them to clear out the roadways so it's safe for us again.
Great reminder. We're having a fun game of figuring out exactly where she is. That's Arts and Central in the Rosemary District, the corner there. So that must have been Lemon and Boulevard of the Arts in the Rosemary District. She could probably was saying that, but I can't hear her. So good that they're out there picking things up. That's why we're staying home, letting them clear those roadways. Because guess what? You don't want to run over a piece of metal, and then you have a whole nother problem you didn't want today.
Yeah, nails, anything, debris,
Right.
sharp corners. She is also not far from our station, ABC 7, which we know that crews are heading back there, assessing everything and trying to get us back to our station. That will help alleviate some of the problems. That will put us back on the air once we know it's safe to do so. We're hoping, I don't have an ETA, but we'll try to get that for you. Hoping in the next couple hours.
Yeah, we're in
we can get
transition.
back
We're
there.
a lot of our crew is pulled out behind us, and we're kind of holding down the fort here. A lot of people on Facebook are asking, why am I not seeing you on TV?
Yes.
Because we actually evacuated our station and do not have a strong enough signal where we are right now. We're still sheltering in place, if you will. The station is fine. Our management and our engineers have confirmed that it is safe to go back to, so we are working on that. In the meantime,
Destroyed by tornado.
it's been important for us to keep talking to you because I know a lot of people don't have power. You wouldn't be able to see us on air, but at least you're seeing us here. You can be reassured that on the whole, the community has fared better than expected, and we'll try to highlight the various problem spots to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, we have some other video to show you right now. And this is in St. Lucie.
This is the
This
tornado.
We're
This is
going back
tornado
to the
damage.
tornado. Look at that. Wow.
It's
That
it's
is-
just unbelievable of what a tornado can do, and that definitely has the marks of a tornado with that twisted debris. Now, if you weren't following yesterday, this was around the noon hour that they
Right.
came into Lee and Charlotte counties, and then they moved across the state so that by 2 and 3 p.m., that's when I remember tracking these storms in Jupiter and down to the south. But look at all that debris, and unfortunately, we do have 4 confirmed fatalities in this county. At least 4 is the way the AP is reporting that, and we are concerned that an elderly care center there, an assisted living center, was hit by that tornado.
And do we know, maybe this is a question for Mike Modrick, do we know how strong that tornado or those tornadoes were, F2, F3, F4? And maybe Mike knows, he can tell by just looking at the damage. I'm not sure. Mike, do you know?
No, not by looking at the damage, but the tornado reports out of yesterday are 31. We had 31 reports, and Port St. Lucie is out here on the eastern side of Florida. We did not have that many confirmed tornadoes out here in the western part of the state, only a few down here in the Fort Myers area. The rest of that activity was in the central part of the state here. This is Lake Okeechobee right here, and then the eastern part. So there's a huge cluster of these confirmed tornado reports here. So that would be where the damage is in the video that you just saw. It does take a while sometimes for the strength of a tornado to become obvious, to become evident, because typically it is a damage assessment and what kind of damage has occurred, and that's where the estimate comes of what the size of that tornado was, an F0, F1, F2, F3, et cetera. So 31 tornado reports. The other ones here, these are reports of storm surge, and the storm surge does not appear to have been anywhere near as high as the up to 15 feet that was predicted at one point, which went down to a 9 to 13 foot surge. This is a situation where we all did prepare for the worst, hoped for the best, and we kind of got our hopes confirmed on a lot of this one. This is a video from the Wild Oak Bay areas on the north side. My wife took this video before it got dark enough that you couldn't really take video anymore. And then later on, she was in the eye of the storm. It went dead calm, it went dead quiet. She actually took a video when she was in the eye of the storm, did not open the door, just took it through the slider doors. But it was dead quiet, and it was so dark. She's never experienced darkness like that, she said, because there were no lights. You couldn't see lights from Sarasota. You couldn't see lights at Longboat Key because nobody had any power. And that was amazing in and of itself. This is a picture of the back of the condo complex where we are, but all of this damage was done from Helene. These are irrigation lines for the sprinkler system. That damage was all done. All of this landscape torn up, but it was in Helene with the storm surge we had from that. This is a massive tree. Oh, I remember why I wanted to show you this. That's my car. Parked at a higher elevation. The tree fell and just barely missed my car. Thank you. Yeah, that doesn't happen all that often. Way over on the other edge, there's another car there, and I hope that it missed their car as well. And I'm saying that, but there's some sort of something there that maybe it looks like the same color as my car, but no, we're going to go, yeah, we're going to stay with this. So the power outage numbers there, we've covered those extensively. And then Daytona Beach is improving as well as this storm is now moving out to sea, moving out into the Atlantic. Daytona Beach, visibility has decreased just a little bit here from the last time we took a look at it, and the wind's gusting up to 26 miles per hour. But at Daytona Beach, that's some improvement there as well. All right, we'll send it back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Mike. We want to give you an update on Lido Key. We know that a lot of you have been asking about Lido Key. As we mentioned earlier, officials were not allowing anybody onto the barrier islands, but here's what we know. Lido Key was knee to waist deep in water last night. Knee to waist deep. But
Unfortunately, that probably filtered right into St. Armand's Circle. We know how
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
You know.
But as Mike just said, the flooding does not appear, by all accounts, to be as bad as Hurricane Helene. So while that
Absolutely.
sounds bad, people may have fared better
Absolutely.
than Hurricane Helene. So still a lot of unknowns on that, but that is what we know so far. Knee to waist deep water last night on Lido Key. Okay, Venice. We have some updates on Venice, some of the streets that were flooded due to Hurricane Milton, and I'm just going to go ahead and list these off. North Indy Circle. I don't know how much flooding, by the way.
Right.
Tarpon Center Drive, the Esplanade North, Flamingo Drive. Is that Villas Drive and
Yeah, it looks like it.
Gardenia Drive? Harbor Drive at Sorrento Street, and then Alhambra Road, and is that Castle
I can't read
Castle
that one.
Street or Castle Street. Sorry, I couldn't read this.
No, that's okay.
But so those streets did flood in Venice. Again, how much, we don't know.
Nope.
We're working to get that information for you.
All right, you're looking at downtown Venice, and someone obviously got out this morning and took some pictures for us. A lot of trees down. That's all right. We can deal with that. Does look like most of the storefronts in pretty good shape, and look at those big old palm trees still upright with no problem. That is a light pole. Definitely some very gusty winds in Venice. Remember, Venice was on the south side of the eye wall because of where the landfall fell in Siesta Key. Oh, one of those big palm trees fell down on the roof, so hopefully we don't have too much roof damage there. But obviously, we are looking at Main Street in Venice, and on the whole, not looking at anything completely catastrophic. I do have a very positive report for when we do get around to traveling. The Howard Franklin Bridge and the Gandy Bridge are open in both directions. Bridges are tough because the engineers have to come out and make sure they are okay. So obviously those are interstates. They started with the interstates. They'll be moving to our inland areas, and we're already assessing bridges to our keys and making sure that they're passable. But
Let's go to Brendan, look live.
okay.
All right, so we want to go to
Glass
Brendan Mackey.
301 recycled plant.
We want to go to Brendan Mackey right now. He is at a collapsed recycling plant on 301. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey guys, I'm Brendan Mackey here on 301 North in Sarasota. And take a look at this waste and recycling center that's behind me. This thing is just absolutely destroyed. You can see that roof has caved in, and most of the roof is now on the debris that's underneath it. The good news is that here across the street, there really isn't a lot of debris that has flown over this fence. The bad news, take a look at this fence. This fence is absolutely destroyed. It looks as if someone took it and tied it into a knot. And it's not the only thing here that's now missing. The billboard, this huge billboard behind me, there's literally nothing left on it. This is just unbelievable to see. Stay with us. We're going to continue to be covering all the damage from Hurricane Milton, but for now, I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, so definitely wind damage happening there.
Yeah, the roof, and as you said, you've kind of been saying this all morning, is, the roofs around the Suncoast seem to be the most vulnerable, especially when you get this level of wind, 100 miles an hour.
Wind, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And that looked like an aluminum facility too. Those warehouses, obviously not built to the hurricane strength that many other things are. So we'll continue to keep you updated on things that we see.
Yeah.
Again, that's why hopefully there weren't people inside, because obviously when you lose a roof in the middle of a hurricane, it can get a little bit too dicey inside. So hopefully everyone was safe there, and we'll continue to follow
It is impressive that the debris inside that structure, even though the roof was blown, appeared to be mostly intact. And that's what a lot of people, reports that I've seen in certain areas that had debris, at least up in Pinellas County, some of those areas that got hammered by Hurricane Helene, they still had the debris piles in their yard because for whatever reason, they were not able to be picked up yet. A lot of people saying that debris stayed intact.
Which is very interesting.
It's very odd. Someone had mentioned that it appeared that the wind field, because you look at what happened to the Tropicana field, it's almost like the winds stayed higher, oddly enough as that sounds, and weren't always making it on the ground. Again, I'm not an expert, I'm just speculating here, but to a lot of people were mentioning that it was weird, because they expected debris, and there could be.
Sure.
But from some early accounts, some
well,
of
your
the
wind
debris
field
piles-
definitely gets more intense as you go up with height. And it's not like a tornado that touches down to the ground, sucks things up, and redistributes it. Hurricanes are more linear.
Then that would make sense.
So, yep, hurricanes are definitely more linear. Okay, I understand we're going to St. Pete now. Going to take a look at some video. Those look like power lines to me, and that is exactly why we are not out and about. Power lines down in the roadway, flooding video. Pinellas County got 18 inches of rain, according to our meteorologists, and we certainly expect to see a lot of standing water up there. And the rain was definitely heavier in some pockets of the storm than others, which is another great reason to not go anywhere, because it may be fine where you are, and it may not be fine where you are headed. I've got a couple different things coming from St. Pete. That may have been MLK Street South. There's a lake there. Yep, that looks like it probably has flooded the street. And as we've been saying, in St. Pete, police are reiterating, stay home. The roads are not yet safe. Sunshine Skyway now open.
Was waiting for that.
Yep, the major bridges up between Manatee and Pinellas and Hillsborough have now been cleared. So again, we haven't cleared our local roads yet.
Yeah.
That's what they're working on, because obviously the interstates need to be cleared first.
And that's good news. Again, impressive when you think of we're only just, 12 hours, not even, and this was hitting like overnight.
Is it really only 12 hours?
It feels like
a long 12
100,
hours.
112. But it is impressive when you think about less than 12 hours ago, we were getting hammered with 100-mile-an-hour winds, and here we are, all the major bridges, Howard Franklin, Gandy Bridge, Sunshine Skyway, reopened.
Yeah.
That
Really,
is
some
impressive.
great engineering. That's what that is. That's some great engineering. Manatee County posted some photos of recovery efforts dealing with what we'd expect across Manatee County, down trees and power lines. And unfortunately, the power outages reported in Manatee County have been pretty high, upwards of 80% in some locations. But look at that. They've already got trucks out there, front loaders, picking up the problems, moving them around. That's why we've got all these wonderful reinforcements coming in from all over. Oh, that's why the power outages are happening.
Look at that.
Here's the thing. I know power's so frustrating because everybody just wants to save their food and cool off their house. These trees may still come down. It is still a little bit breezy. We've got extremely saturated ground. You may have power, and then you may lose it this afternoon. Please understand, a tree may have fallen somewhere along the line and caused problems. So we're going to have to be a little flexible. We're going to have to be a little patient. It's a process, but all in all, for 12 hours out, it's a great point. I think this was the best case scenario that we would be this optimistic 12 hours out. We know there are problems. We know there's going to be some tough stories. And we will bring them to you.
And speaking of power, let's go ahead and go over those outages with you again at last check. Manatee County announcing just over 200,000 outages, people without power there. Sarasota County, 227,000 and change. This was as of about an hour ago. So there we go. Let's see if those have changed.
165,000 Manatee.
Okay, so that's roughly the same as it was an hour ago.
It was. I think the numbers that we're getting from Manatee are higher because parts of Manatee are likely covered by TECO as well. This is FPL's website. Sarasota at 222, so that's improved a little. Improved a little bit.
From about an hour ago. So
I promise they're out there.
working.
Our reporters have seen them. The power crews are out. They, they're working on their grids. A lot of it they can even do remotely. It's so cool. They can assess the problem remotely. I don't know if I've told you this. Because I can't remember who I've told what anymore, but I got to go on site to FPL's command center in West Palm last year.
Wow.
It is the most fascinating place. Their technology is unbelievable. They can diagnose so many problems remotely, so they know exactly where to send their linemen. They can fix things with robots. They can do some great things. Right now we're looking at Daytona. I was up with Mike and John as we were tracking that storm through Daytona this morning, and they were on the northern edge, similar to Pinellas County. They got a lot of rain. So it does not surprise me to see this kind of standing water in Daytona. So see what they're doing? Don't do that. Thank you, Bri. Bri, our producer, reminding us what we're looking at is not a positive thing. Do not drive into standing water. In fact, every single one of these people, well, they're power crews, so they can do it. But the rest of us, turn around, don't drown.
It's just not worth the risk. Okay, so you think, I'm in an SUV, my car can handle XYZ feet.
I want to get over there.
It's not worth the risk because you're going to get water in that tailpipe.
Yep.
And that water's going to go right into your engine and it's going to stall you out. We see it time and time and time again. and then you're stuck in what, a puddle in a storm
Right.
or a post-storm. How are you getting out? Then that water has bacteria in it, which we've been told, stay out of there. If you have an open cut on your foot, you're walking through your leg, wherever you're walking through that water, it's just not worth it.
It sets into motion a whole bunch of problems,
Yeah.
and probably right now one of the biggest ones is no one's going to come rescue you very quickly because they have much bigger problems
Yeah.
right now. They're likely still doing life-saving rescues and storm debris to open major arteries. Your stalled out car is not going to be on the top of anybody's priority list.
Absolutely.
So definitely, let's just avoid those situations. You know, it is a priority. The National Guard clearing debris across the area. Florida's Guard was actually posted up at Sarasota Riverview High School, which I thought was pretty cool. The National Guard stationed throughout the state in various areas.
Clearwater rescues on an apartment.
And speaking of rescues, City of Clearwater, a rescue from an apartment. Again, this was obviously in the overnight hours. You can see the high water shimmering there. And look at our first responders making a trip out to take people to safety. Thank you so much. Wow.
Look at that.
So
They're in a
tons
little
of flooding.
blow-up boat there, little
Thank you
kayak
for doing
even,
that. I mean, that is
something.
just exactly the heart of a first responder, which we are able to see there.
That is so scary. You know, imagine you're in your apartment or you're in your house and the water's rising around you. You're sitting in a dark space, possibly with your hurricane shutters on, you're closed in, and that water's coming up around you. I can't
Terrifying.
think of anything more terrifying
can't
than
either.
that. And then having to be taken out, if you're lucky enough, in a kayak or a boat. I mean, that is a trauma that you will never forget.
Absolutely, and I'll be honest, I heard a lot of stories like that from Helene,
Yes.
and I think that is why people did such a great job evacuating. All right, here's more power patient stories. Gonna take a little while to put all those poles back up.
That's very intense. This is not just a tiny power outage, a line. That is a major,
That's a major artery.
power pole
Yep.
right there. Guys, do we know where this street is? Or
Bri, do we know where this
Where
is in
is
Pinellas
it?
No. No, not labeled, I'm sorry.
Pinellas
So we're
County.
getting this from Pinellas County first responders, police,
Yeah.
sheriff, and things like that.
Okay.
So we don't have
Look
necessarily
at that,
cross
though.
streets.
Those are major lines.
Absolutely, a lot of wind there in Pinellas County. All right, Mike Mundrick's looking at me like he has something cool to say.
Actually, I have a question I want to ask you.
Sure.
Okay, you're a weather geek, you have said.
I'm a weather geek.
Okay, so which computer model do you think has the better reputation, the European or the American?
The European is the better reputation, especially Euro AI.
Yes, okay, that's a fine point there too. But the European, although it has this great reputation because it nailed the track of Superstorm Sandy, which was over a decade ago. And that was up in the northeastern United States. The European has been horrible in the Gulf of Mexico this entire year. The American computer model pretty much nailed the track of this storm. The European computer model for weeks and weeks and weeks was showing this very disorganized storm system in the western Gulf of Mexico, never getting organized. The American computer model was organizing this into a tropical system, and frankly, when the American computer model first started giving hints of this, it was always a beeline here into western Florida. Maybe not always right here into Siesta Key, but nonetheless, I had a better track, it had the better timing of the two computer models. So from my point of view at this point, European computer model, not a fan anymore. This is the storm as it pushed on through. So we're going through the 11 o'clock time frame. It had already moved on shore there near Siesta Key. For the rest of our lives, we get to say we lived through the storm that made landfall at Siesta Key. Now, when we get pictures from the barrier islands, that's maybe or maybe not bragging rights, but Siesta Key will be back. The full force of the governor's office is going to be back to getting us, improving our situation and getting us back to viable economies. And we'll have accommodations to rent at Siesta Key again at some point. It's going to, two back-to-back hurricanes, yeah, you bet it's going to take some time before we're all, back in the saddle again and ready to go out to the beaches and have some ice cream and do all of that. But yeah, there is the storm system now that you can still see that eye. It went over to Orlando and Orlando had horrible conditions, and now power outages there in Orange County too. They've been topping, they're about 20% of Orange County is out. But now it's out over the open ocean waters. There it is. This is that 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock time frame coming onshore right there with the eye and continuing to push on through. American Computer also was very good about the rainfall forecast with the highest rainfall totals here in Pinellas and Hillsborough counties. I just saw a report. I'm not even sure we made it to that graphic ever. We don't have a lot of control over the order of the graphics in our setup here, but Palmasola. So Palmasola, you know where Palmasola is. It's Manatee County, and if you're driving on the bridge across Manatee County to Manatee Avenue there to get over to the islands, that's the Palmasola area you're going through. That was 13 inches of rain. SRQ was 7.25 inches, but then down farther south, I saw storm totals for 2 days that were, in some cases, 2 inches to 3 inches. I'm talking about places like Northport and even farther south, where the rainfall just wasn't all that much. And the American Computer model nailed that forecast as well. I got a lot more respect for the American Computer model now. And it's had many, many upgrades in the last several years too, ever since it got a little bit embarrassed by the European computer model. So are you guys ready for what you're going to do? All right, so there's a man here we want to acknowledge who allowed us to use this facility, and
Just us for now.
and just you guys.
Just us for now.
And very soon you'll be introduced to him. But right now, let's go to Stephanie Squared.
All right, thank you, Mike. Some news coming out of the city of Sarasota. The iconic unconditional surrender statue still standing despite wind, rain. So that's positive there.
I think we have a photo. Bride, can we see that
Yeah.
photo of unconditional surrender? She'll see if she can pull that up for us. It was taken this morning, and that is just such a cool thing
It
that we
really
were.
is. It really is. Okay, we'll get that in a second. Obviously, it's people saying that this is a symbol of strength for the community, and that photo was taken at 8:45 this morning.
We'll
We'll
get
get
that
to
up
you as
for
soon
ya.
as we can.
Hey, Bride, do we have the St. Pete? Can we do the crane collapse?
Oh, wait, I got the statue now.
Oh,
okay.
now we have the statue.
So we're gonna go to the statue.
We're working on
Oh,
it.
Look at that.
Look at that with blue skies. That's a great one. We definitely need to get that posted everywhere.
It is a good sign, and also a good sign is that we are hearing the reports that the surge was not as catastrophic as we had initially thought. A lot of people saying it was even less than Hurricane Helene. Take a look at this video, though.
This is probably the most
incredible.
amazing video. Unfortunately, very, very tall crane doing construction in St. Petersburg did come down during the storm. Pinellas County knew about this risk. I heard it reported that there were cranes that were simply too big to be moved. They tie them down and they hope for the best. And unfortunately, one did come crashing down.
And I believe that is affiliated with the 400 Central building, which is under construction there. We're moving
Yes.
over to the Tropicana field. Look at that. The entire roof gone.
Yep, Tropicana Field, significant roof damage there. It's got that kind of flex roof.
Yeah, so it's not, it's more of a like
parachute material.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
sure
I
it's
was gonna
something
say like a
stronger than that,
circus
but
tent,
right.
It is a
The
heavy-duty
structure did
fabric.
not appear to be overly damaged. Those spines, they certainly very well may have been bent, but it did expose the field. All the water came in. But the best news of all, no one was staged there in terms of linemen or respondents.
Well, they were staging
They
there,
moved
but
them.
They moved them.
They moved
out,
them.
which was
Apparently, the building is rated to, I believe, 120 mile-per-hour winds, and they knew that the forecast winds were above that at that point. So they very safely moved the people staged there, and only essential workers were there, and they were not harmed. Okay, this is alarming video. This is what happens when a tree falls in the wrong place, and in this case, it was through a home in Hillsborough County. We do not have any reports of any injuries. I was told that they were successfully rescued, but wow, what a scary thing to have happen in the middle of a storm.
It is scary.
Absolutely. Well, we want to introduce you to someone who has been beyond amazing and hospitable to the entire ABC7 team here during the storm.
Yes, and John Saputo, you have saved our station. John has hosted ABC7 here at this off-site remote location in Lakewood Ranch, taking us out of our station, which was very close to the coastline. And we just want to thank you so much for allowing us to hunker down here and broadcast from your wonderful facility. We felt very safe, and we very much appreciate you.
Well, this is what Anheuser-Busch and my family have done here for 28 years. When our community needs us, we're here. We've had Anheuser-Busch canned water that we've been delivering out to all of our saturated areas out there all last week. We've got some more out there right now that we're getting ready to send up to Bradenton today. These people, they are a gem in this station. They are a gem in our community. If everybody out there could have watched these people go into, you know, all know I'm a Marine combat colonel. These people went into combat mode. And when we got a call, we didn't know how we were going to be able to host it. We don't have all the electronics here, but engineers and technicians and, you know, hosts like this came in and took this hospitality room of mine over and turned it into a studio within a matter of hours. And during this storm, they were sleeping all over our place. It looked like a refugee camp here last night.
We tried to be neat, but you know.
There was probably 65 people sleeping all over this building. And these ladies here and guys, Harrigan, and, all these people were just absolutely respectful of everything that we had over here, took care of it. And if we would not have had these people doing what they did, going into, as I call it, combat mode, there's 5 counties out there, probably close to 2 million people, that wouldn't have known what the heck was going on in our community. You people, I take my hat off to you, I would, but I'm bald and I don't want your camera to go flash. But you did yeoman's work here. I felt like I was in a battalion of my Marines. They put on their helmet, flak jacket, buckled up their chin straps, and these people went to war, people, with this storm. And they beat the hell out of Milton for all of us here.
Oh, thank you, John. That's very kind. Well,
Very kind to
we
say.
wouldn't have been able to do it if we didn't have base camp here. That is for sure. I know Stephanie came in a little bit nervous about are we evacuating to a safe place?
Yeah.
Tell everybody a little bit. We're at Gold Coast Eagle Distillery about what you built here and how you knew that it was safe to welcome us.
Well, before I moved to Sarasota and bought this distributorship from Anheuser-Busch and Corona 28 years ago, I watched storms from up in my perch in North Carolina and my house up in Michigan, and I knew that we needed a facility here. My wife and I sat down and designed this building, and I told the architects and I told the builder that I wanted walls thick enough to sustain 150 mile an hour winds. I wanted the best windows you could have with 135, 140 mile an hour winds to sustain it. The roof is the best you could buy at 135 mile an hour, because I knew with my 200 people that a lot of them live near the water. And for all of these hurricanes that we've had, my people come in and they live here. They bring their families in, they eat here, they sleep here. And I just feel better knowing that my company is taken care of. You know, Marine Corps, we said, leave no man behind in the field, and we don't do it here, but this time you were our people that we took care of this time, and we're proud.
appreciate that.
We're so proud to do this for the community, and, you know, these people, I can't say enough about how great and how tough they are. These girls sitting here with you, I saw them ragged and...
Don't tell everybody.
I saw them without their makeup, and
Don't tell
believe me,
anybody.
guys, they transform themselves every time you see them on here. It was great to see.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being such an important part of the community. Thank you for building a very safe building. It was very quiet inside during the storm. Unbelievable
And
what
thank
we
you.
kept out.
I mean, you are truly our angel. Thank you so much. You know, at the height of the storm. I know.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Come
you.
again. Next storm,
Oh,
we're
please
ready
no.
for it.
I mean, I'll come for social reasons, but let's no more storms. No more storms.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to know that everybody is safe and sound.
Now we
in-
get
in
back
your
to
work.
normal, keep hosting our charities that we host here.
That's right.
We got one this week.
Okay.
So we got another one this week here, so
Keep it on the calendar,
we'll
right?
kick you guys out and clean this place up, and we'll be ready for the next charity event.
That
So,
sounds good
Thank you
to
so much.
us.
We're glad that you and all of your family and your staff are safe. You truly are an angel for taking in your staff like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's great.
there's not a lot of people that would do what you've done, not only for your staff to that level, but for the community as well, and we thank you.
It's what we do, men for others.
I love it.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. So, all right. Secrets out. Brian just says talk. I wish the behind the scenes show is getting even better now. So we might as well admit
Right,
we are in
right.
transition back to our station. Our station is at 10th Street and Lemon. We did not sustain any major damage, which we are happy about. We have had all sorts of problems, as I'm sure you're noticing because you're watching us online, keeping our signal on the air over television. But honestly, most people don't have power. Most people also don't have cable. So that is why we are broadcasting online, on the internet, on Facebook, so that you can continue to just be updated on
And
what's
hopefully
happening.
people are watching us online. I know cell service was kind of sketchy in some areas, but I think for the most part, some of the major carriers doing okay right now.
It seems like it. That's
yeah.
what we're hearing. And listen, if we help 10 people
Yeah.
feel a little bit better, or know that their family is safe, or know that a road is impassable and we save you from going there, that's why we're here. We're happy to help anybody we can. And we'll be happy to be back into things a little bit later today as well.
Yeah, I want to go back to Siesta Key because I know we are still awaiting more information from Siesta Key. Obviously, that is where Hurricane Milton came ashore, the official how would they
Yep,
declare
the
that?
eye
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the storm
eye of the storm
passed right over Siesta Key. That's its official landfall.
Yes, landfall. Thank you. That was the word I was thinking of.
Words are getting hard.
I need more coffee. Commissioner Joe Nunder took some Siesta Key residents onto the island about within the last hour or two.
Yep.
Resident Matt Fueo saying this: his house is not damaged at all, so thank goodness for that. He tells us that the flooding is also not bad. He says that Hurricane Helene was much worse. He also says, though, that some houses have sustained wind damage. We don't know what that means. Is that a roof? Is that a tree falling down? But from the damage levels that we've been seeing, and again, we're hoping it's not worse, but we're seeing what would be considered typical for 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Absolutely.
So again, the news is encouraging. So if you do live on Siesta Key and you're wondering, hey, is my house okay? Am I completely flooded out? We can't say 100% for sure, but those surge levels, that water level at the very least, are far below with what we saw from Hurricane Helene.
And one thing
that alone is good news.
Absolutely. One thing we can say for sure is you can't go out there yet.
Yes.
We are still getting reports that all of our area bridges to Longboat, to Lido, and to Siesta Key, and certainly Anna Maria, not yet open. All right, this is a live picture at mile marker 222, so that would be just before Ellington. Yeah, you can see a lot of standing water in the middle there, but the roads are clear. There's not a lot of traffic because we're still telling people to stay home. The major roads are going to be passable. That was the first goal of the first responders, and they went out about 3 o'clock this morning. However, they haven't gotten to many of our neighborhoods yet. I know my husband sent a picture of a big tree down and said, "You're not getting home." And I thought, well, I'm not supposed to leave anyway. But so that just tells me you probably aren't getting out of a lot of your neighborhoods. So don't go through the frustration of thinking you can go somewhere. Stores are closed. Everybody's shut down for today. Employees are home picking up their own lives and checking on their loved ones. We're just going to take a pause day today. Let the first responders keep working, and they'll let us know when things start to open up.
Yeah. I have a question. Bri, do we have any of the cameras, Skyway, Gandy, Franklin?
All of them are down.
Okay.
All the cameras are down.
All the cameras
All right.
are still down.
Check in with Ted soon.
Okay, I don't think we're surprised that the cameras are down. Honestly, our weather information has been so spotty, and I know that's so frustrating for our meteorologists because being the weather nerd I am, we're dying to see the statistics and the wind gusts and all of that.
Relocated up to 100 yards from Manatee River.
Okay, this is along the Manatee River in Bradenton.
look at that.
We are finding out that both the boats and the docks have been relocated from the water as far as 100 500 yards. So that is just a gust of wind coming right up the river would be my guess. Because I don't think we probably had too much. I know the meteorologists didn't think there was much of a storm surge around Port Manatee at all.
Yeah.
So if we're seeing all this damage around the Manatee River, I'm going to assume that's more wind related than a storm surge per se. But you know, that's the thing. There's definitely damage. Let's not sugarcoat it. I know plenty of people are walking outside to their property and very dismayed. Yes.
You talked about, you know, things kind of blocking roadways or partially blocking roadways.
Yeah.
Imagine you're getting in your car, leaving the neighborhood. I mean, it's going to be.
You're going to turn right around.
Yeah, you're going to turn around. You're not going to be able to get through. And are you going to be getting out of your car and lifting up tree limbs every
Please
10
don't.
feet? I mean, that
Yeah.
would be kind of, you know, not a great thing to do either. So better just to stay put where you are until you get the all clear. But, you know, nothing preventing you from taking a walk around the neighborhood as long as it's safe. Watch out for any downed power lines.
Standing water.
Yeah, standing water. You know, power is still off for a huge majority of people. 3/4, 75% Manatee County, Sarasota. So, you know, hopefully there's no live wires out there, or if, you know, just be careful. You want to be very careful with those wires.
We had a great conversation, I believe it was with Longboat Key earlier this morning, when they were saying in terms of taking a walk, it's a great thing to do because we actually would like everybody to check on their neighbors in their community, because first responders are so busy right now, so that if you can do a little community, you know, patrolling on your own, if you see that somebody has damage to their home, maybe knock on the door, make sure everybody's okay in there, check on your network, and then we can, you know, maybe start to help first responders know, target, prioritize a little bit of who needs what. But take care of each other a little bit in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do we have anything else we want to go to right now,
Brian,
Bri?
any fresh video coming in? No. Well, then there's that. That's all right. Well, we'll go ahead and tell you what's happening here.
Yeah, I don't know if we
Everybody's
can.
looking
Can we
at us.
pan around?
Hi, Dean. What's
can we
that?
pan around? Paul's going to pan around for us.
So we're about, I would say there's probably less than a quarter of our staff is still here as we are trying to get up and running.
So we've scaled. Oh, we're not. Can we go to that panning shot?
They're all glaring.
There we go.
Come on, wave, people.
Hey, everybody. These are our warriors, our
Well,
weary staff.
So this is important. Obviously, we're looking for new information. These are our information gatherers. They are on the phones. They are searching the reputable places like our police departments, our sheriff's offices, our county commissioners. Any of the information that we're delivering to you has been verified. And I think that's important to say, because when I got up early this morning, social media was on fire with people talking about things that aren't true. Bad, horrible, scary rumors. So that's not what we're doing. We are talking to the officials. We are getting things verified. And we are making sure that these are reports you can trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is from George Cruz, Manatee County Commission.
Oh, good. Manatee County Commissioner.
Anna Maria Island and Longboat Key look like they fared well.
Oh, that's
all
great.
right. So you can't hear our producer, Bryce. She is reporting for us. This is
the city of Anna Maria Island Pier.
Yep. So Anna Maria has two piers. We know the Rod and Reel Pier got a little battered during Helene. This is the city of Anna Maria Pier. It is missing portions of it. It's
gone.
It's gone. Okay. I can only see what I can see
This is
here.
Commissioner George Cruz from the area. He is saying, though, that the island fared well overall.
Right. So we have some damage. The pier is obviously gone, but to not have
Scattered along the shoreline.
to not have the island underwater, to not have that storm surge that we saw during Helene.
Yeah.
I think our residents who are evacuated, because nobody can get back there yet, I think they are very, very relieved to know it is not as bad as we initially feared.
And not as bad as Hurricane Helene in terms of storm surge.
In terms of
so
what?
that is very encouraging. Again, if you live on Anna Maria Island, Commissioner George Cruz, who oversees that area, saying that the island fared well. Those were his words, fared well.
We'll
so
take fared well.
We're going to take it.
Okay, this is
And
Longboat
there's
Key.
Longboat
Assessment says it's all clear, but FDOT must approve before people can drive on it.
Okay, you're going to love this information if you're concerned about your residents in Longboat
Key.
Initial is an all clear from them, but here's the holdup. The bridges have not been cleared for structural damage.
Look at these
FDOT has
pictures,
to,
though.
Yeah,
It's
look at the
looking
standing
a
water
lot-
and everything.
It is looking better than...
A lot of sand, but guess what? There was a lot of sand from Helene. That still may be Helene's sand. What we're waiting for now are the engineers to come out and clear the bridges. I know Sarasota County had told us earlier this morning that they were not comfortable with the bridge, the causeway near Bird Key.
Yeah.
You know how
Yeah.
there's different parts.
They're aiming to do a two-tier re-entry later today.
Okay,
Stay tuned to their Facebook page.
two-tiered re-entry.
Later today.
Later today, and the updates will be on Facebook. We'll, of course, be watching them as
Yes,
well. But if you
yes.
live in Longboat Key and you're trying to get back and check on your property, you're going to want to keep your eye on the Longboat Key Facebook page. I'll be honest, I don't live on Longboat Key, and I don't know what two-tiered reentry means. I'm going to assume it's north and south on that key, and they will manage that for you and let you know. Great news that we're even talking about reentry today.
Yeah.
That is fabulous.
It is really remarkable, especially given the dire reports that we were thinking, storm surge, 8 to 12 feet, and by all accounts, again, I just have to go back to that storm surge because that is really, I think, the greatest risk for a lot of people who live on the water. That was
So
really top
scary.
of mind. You think about those that flooded, are we going to re-flood? You think about those who are at higher ground, am I high enough? And you're constantly playing that battle. It's a battle of inches at that point, a battle of feet and inches. Is water going to come into my house this time? And then you have the catastrophic winds on top of that because of this hurricane being a potential direct hit. So there was just so much stress and anxiety. So I think the fact that we're hearing that some of these barrier islands fared well, that we did not see the storm surge that we saw in Helene is a huge sigh of relief for so many of those people. And I'm really glad to hear that because there's been so much trauma. These people have been so traumatized, and to hear that they could have that glimmer of hope. And again, there's still going to be damage, but to hear that glimmer of hope, especially when it comes to that storm surge, is just, gosh, I'm very happy for them right now.
Absolutely. Shingles and screens are much easier to deal with than feet and feet of water.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
you
or
know,
houses blown down
absolutely.
from Category 5 hurricanes.
Yeah,
So,
no, it definitely had the potential to be very, very scary, and the fact that we're getting these hints of optimism is
yes,
is
hints of
really
optimism,
exciting.
a great way to phrase
Right,
that.
I see a new friend. Come on over, Ted.
Hi,
Come
Ted.
join us.
I haven't seen you guys for a couple hours.
I know.
We've been spending a lot of time together, haven't
We
we?
have a lot of stories we could tell. We should have had a camera in our sleeping quarters.
Oh, no. Well, you would have just heard the alarm going off the whole time. We were very, very, very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're so grateful to John and his team.
Absolutely.
To have power and air conditioning, as most people do
and
not.
food and
be able,
restrooms.
Be able to purvey information to you to help everybody be a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, our
absolutely.
ABC7 family didn't want to take any risks, and that was great. So we're here. So we were talking about traffic, and you guys just about 10 minutes ago mentioned the fact that Sunshine's open, Sunshine Skyway
Right.
Bridge.
Oh, look it.
At this, we just got a camera up.
Oh, great.
We're the center of a Howard Franklin Bridge here. It looks like somebody just dropped some boards or something on the one
Which is,
lane.
again, why we're
You're gonna
really
see a lot
not,
of that.
yeah, don't drive around any more than you absolutely have to, because this is going to happen.
Yep, you're
You
going to
know,
see
debris
pe-
going to
debris.
fly, and you don't know.
Oh, he just went
yes,
right over
he
that.
was. Oh, my
Yikes, there could be
goodness.
nails. So yeah, so that's the center part of 275 at Howard Franklin Bridge. We know that that's open now. What was the other one? Was Gandy, right?
Gandy's open.
We don't know. We haven't had confirmation yet on Courtney Campbell.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up in Tampa.
So,
Yep.
I
And
do have
our
a list.
bridges here are actually why we're holding off.
Exactly.
Sending anybody home.
Yeah. So as soon as we know, we're going to let you know, of course, not just on the air or digital, but also push alerts. We're going to get the information out to you. So here's what I have so far, and this list is fluid. Things keep changing. 37th to 44th signals are out. University at DeSoto, there's a lot of debris reported there. Old Bradenton at Riverside, there's a tree down that they're working on getting up. 10th Street at 28th Avenue, some flooding. 36th Avenue at 69th Street, some power poles or power lines are down and in the roadway. Manatee Avenue near 43rd Street, there's some debris. State Road 70 at Greenbrook Boulevard, the lights are kind of hanging. They're probably going to have to do some repair on that. Weber and Beneva, tree down on the northbound side. Tuttle at 59th. A tree down there. Verna Bethany Road near 64, flooding. They closed the road. Now, they actually closed that bridge early.
Mm-hmm, they did. I remember that yesterday.
Yeah, they closed that bridge because they were concerned because that happened during Helene.
Got it.
Fruitville 41, some glass debris reported. Some of these are reported situations here. State Road 70 at 87th Street, flooding. 41 at Constitution Boulevard, the signal's not working right. Treat that as a four-way stop. You can't say that enough.
No, we absolutely can't, because I think there's a lot of signals down.
Absolutely.
Throughout the
The
area.
last thing we need with all the stress that we have is a wreck.
Yeah.
River Road at Winchester flooding. 17 northbound, getting off of 75 and onto 75 northbound, lot of flooding there on the ramp.
Oh, wow.
And earlier, that camera went out. I mean, we're going to see technical glitches all day. It was on just an hour ago, and you could see people squeezing by on the side trying to get on the 17.
Okay.
With this mass amount of water right next to their car. Scary. State Road 776 in Minnesota Beach Road, the signal is out there. And as we said, with the barrier islands, we don't have the updates just yet, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know. Try not to be out on the roads if you can. I mean, we keep talking about the debris.
There's
Yeah.
just a
flat
lot
tires.
out there.
You don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So,
Too much.
good to see you guys.
Good to see
you.
I'll
Yeah.
be seeing you a lot more too.
Yes, we
I know
will.
we will.
I'm going to go
Check
back out to the
with
other
you.
section, guys.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Ted.
we appreciate the update. Again, Ted, one of our information gatherers, we're sitting here just making sure that you have a voice that you know that's out there getting information, but we've got a whole crew back here that's all over the phones and the internet and our law enforcement agencies trying to find out what's going on across the area.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we go back to that crane in St. Pete? That was just such compelling
It's definitely one of the most
video.
visual things that we have seen as a result
Yeah,
of
and
the
it
storm.
just gives you the sense, you know, that building under construction, I believe it's the 400 Central building, and there was some discussion, look at that. I mean, it crashed right into that building. Hopefully that was evacuated and.
Or
we
the
ha-
building that was under construction, I'm hoping too.
Yeah.
We just don't have any information yet.
But we haven't heard any reports of injuries,
No.
so that's a good sign. But man, oh man, it is really shows you the power of those cranes. If you remember, Stephanie, I mean, this had to be going back and look at the trop.
And there's the trop,
Tropicana.
yep, losing its roof.
You think about those cranes. Remember that story? I think it was about 7 years ago in New York City when the crane was teetering on the brink,
do remember
and
that.
everybody, and then it fell. That was so scary. You know, and you think about these cranes, and they are just so massive when you look at them. And I'm always just astounded by the architecture of them, and it's way above my pay grade. Like, my brain is like, how is that even possible? How do they build a crane like that? How do they build a building like that? So it's just, when you see that, and then you see that crane coming down, they really are very powerful. I know that the city was, I believe, reports are that they were, you know, there was some concerns and discussion about
absolutely.
it, but I think everything happened so fast, and this storm was such a fast mover.
And it takes days and days and days
and
to
then-
dismantle
Yeah,
those.
you wouldn't be able to, you know, I think they obviously tried to do their best to secure it, but how do you, you know, to move that, it would be a monumental task. So I don't know what all goes into that, but just looking at that video is just, I can't wrap my head around it.
Well, you know what, we understand that they definitely took as many safety and security precautions as they can. All right, getting a lot of questions about Venice. What was
Golden Beach area.
Golden Beach area of Venice. We're
Got
seeing
some
trees down. Nothing
to be expected.
Nothing looking horrific. Obviously, just some annoying ocean sands there. Also, some trees down.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending in your pictures. Some ponding water. So
Yeah.
that right there makes me think that was former Helene debris.
It probably most likely was, because remember, according to our meteorologist here, John Scalzi, 5.3 feet of storm surge in Venice. But remember, the storm surge hitting closer to low tide.
Right.
So the storm surge would have been likely higher during Helene, and this looks like Helene debris.
Okay, yep. And then we're just getting kind of a tour of the areas around. You can see a lot of fences down, a lot of trees down.
A lot
Basically,
of
what
down.
you
I mean,
would
stuff's got to
expect.
get. Oh, look at that.
Well, I
on the
mean,
pool
you don't like to have a
cage.
palm on your pool cage, but you know what? Better your pool cage than the roof of
On
your
your
home.
house, yeah.
I'm hearing pool cage reports from my house of damage as well, but you know what? These are, in the big picture, all easily repaired.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So it just takes time and some cleanup. You know, it's expected if you had that Helene debris that it would be strewn about. But yeah, so hopefully.
and it's a little bit cooler. We'll have some good weather
Yeah.
for our cleanup. Brendan Mackey putting in the long hours with all of us, but you have been out and about.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Give us an overall
Yeah,
view.
we've been sending stuff back, so I don't know what you guys have been using. The first thing I did was we went to a 7-Eleven. Did you guys show
Yes, we
that
saw
footage?
that.
It's okay if we've seen it. Tell
Yeah,
us about
it's
it.
unbelievable. The 7-Eleven on Caruso Road and State Road 70, the top of it is literally wrapped around a pole. I mean, the amount of power that it takes to do something like that is unbelievable. But
Yeah.
what I actually just came from, which was
Oh, I
one
have
most.
7-Eleven video.
Yeah, let's look at that
you wanna look at this
7-Eleven
first?
video.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
it
here's
takes
the
us a
7-Eleven
little
video.
while.
Yeah,
There
so
you
there I
are. There
am.
you
I
are.
mean, look at this. Those are two metal poles that it is wrapped around. And the craziest thing was just 100 feet down and even farther, parts of this were thrown that way. It's just,
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at
It
that.
got
It's
a
scary.
wind gust got up and under it.
it's like a movie scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it's. But what I was going to say is where I just came from is the Tripar Estates Mobile Home Park.
Okay.
That's where I just came from.
And where
There's-
is that located?
It's in Sarasota.
Okay.
You know how we keep telling everyone, mobile home parks, get out. This is
Yeah.
why. What I just came from was one of the most, and we'll show it later today. But I mean, these roofs, these houses are just gone.
How many?
It was house after house after house after house.
Gosh.
There's actually one guy that I'm gonna put a story together later, but he let us into his house. Very positive guy. His name is Paul,
Yeah.
and he showed us around his living room and the room next to, in his bedroom, just gone. And he had been through numerous hurricanes, and he was pretty positive. He's like, this is just, we'll get through it.
That's too bad. So, like
But-
I said, overall, we know the end result seems positive, but we know that there are Suncoast residents.
That's what I said to him.
who are
I was
gonna be
like, you're a
struggling.
lot more positive than I am. He was just.
And injuries, did we, everybody there? Did the
Everyone
first-
I
what did
talked
first
to, I
responders
talked to
say?
people walking by. Most people got out. They said there were those people that were stubborn, but I didn't hear I've been out there for hours now, and I did not hear of any injuries. So knock on wood. That's what we're looking to hear.
And
but
Brendan, at that park, roughly how many mobile homes are there, and then roughly how many sustained damage of that bunch? If you could estimate.
I don't know how many homes are there. I mean, I would say about probably 100. And how many? I mean, all of them sustained damage. I think it just depends on the level.
The level,
of them.
okay,
The guy that let us
wow.
into his house, that was the worst one.
Wow.
So.
And again, that proximity to the core, the
Yeah.
closeness, all that kind of thing, it depends where you are. But unfortunately, those manufactured homes
Yeah.
are just not meant to sustain 100
Yeah.
mile per hour winds.
Yeah, he told
They're
me
just not.
he actually was in the AMC parking lot. That's where he drove when it was going on because I had to evacuate. So he said him and 10 others just parked their car in the AMC parking lot.
Oof.
And
I wish they'd have gone to a shelter.
I
but
agree with you.
At least it ended okay.
yeah, so he said they just toughed it out.
Oh yeah, talk to us about the recycling.
Yeah,
plant.
we're
We
gonna
did
show
see
that.
Oh, you got
We
that one
thought that
too.
was
Yeah,
very
this is
Where
another
were
one.
you? I was confused about where this is.
I've been so many
You
places
were on
now that I'm
301.
spacing. This is 301
But-
North.
Okay,
It's
like-
right between, this one was Sarasota Lakewood Ranch.
Okay.
Okay,
Right
that's
there,
what I
yeah.
wondered.
But, I mean, this one, yeah. The good news about this shot, though, is that the debris that's in there, you would think that it maybe would have blown onto the street.
That's what I first
But
noticed.
it actually didn't, because that's what we've been emphasizing over and over is get the debris down from Helene. We don't want it to be
Yeah.
missiles going into cars.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was there.
Isn't that remarkable?
I mean, so we're thankful about that. Obviously, the
Lot
roof
of
is
damage,
down.
that's hard.
It's destroyed. The billboard to the right,
I saw that.
gone. But
It does
Yeah.
look like an aluminum covered building though, so at some
Yeah.
point.
It's like that flexible, not flexible, but you
Right.
almost think of that.
Not
like,
as, not steel.
yeah. I mean, if
yeah.
any of them were going to go, I guess it was going to be
Probably.
that one.
Yeah.
But
You said that Paul, the gentleman you spoke with,
Mm-hmm.
was very positive. Did you encounter any other people, and how were they faring? It seems like everybody's kind of just pulling up their bootstraps.
well, he had told me that he had been in Puerto Rico, went through a hurricane there,
Oh,
lost
my
everything,
goodness.
moved to Siesta Key 3 years ago, went through flooding, lost his house,
Oh my goodness.
and then he moves here. So it's just like, it's one of those things where you just, I mean, he's more
Resilience.
positive than me. I'm like,
Resilience.
this is your third place that has been gone. But like I said, he was positive. He said how, neighbors have been there for each other.
Yeah,
So
right,
it's,
Yeah.
And these are the stories that we're going to start to hear.
Yeah.
You know, the overall picture better than anticipated, but there are still definitely people who have had some devastation, but yet we can come together
Yeah.
and help them,
Yeah.
help each
And
other.
that is the one thing that really comes out after a disaster like this is the resiliency of the people. You know, a lot of people who don't live here in our area who say, oh, those people, or why are they going to rebuilding, for example? Let's just talk about that. People like to throw stones, like, well, why are you rebuilding? And this, because until you live in your community, in a community like this, with people like
Yeah.
this, and you see the community come together in a way that you've never experienced. And, I just can speak personally because I live in St. Pete, and there were a lot of my neighbors, majority of them, that were flooded out. And when you saw the goodness and when you see the people coming together, helping one another, it really just touches your heart in a way that is inexplicable. And that is why people rebuild. That is why they love their communities. That is why, because they come together in a tragedy. And that's something that I think we're going to continue to see grow and play out over the coming days and weeks.
Absolutely. So thank you for working an early morning and
Yeah.
then
Well,
going
you
out
guys
and checking
too.
Yeah,
things out.
yeah,
I
great
appreciate
work,
that.
Brendan.
We're all dying to look outside, so we appreciate
yeah.
the
Well,
view
I
that
just
you
want to
give
say,
us.
get ready to see the station. We weren't spared either. So.
Oh, well, let's chat about that, shall we?
We haven't heard the
Tell us
update.
If you
Can you
wonder
send
why
the
some of our
station?
power has gone out at times, one of the satellites is down into the ground. Hopefully this is okay to say for
Yeah,
us.
well,
Right?
yeah,
It
of
is what it is
course.
now.
I mean, we
But,
sustain damage
our
like
fence
everybody.
in the front is messed up where the guests like to park.
Oh,
And then if
sure.
you go around in the back, all the trees are down. So that's the way that people are going in right now. So they're trying to go around it. But
Right.
yeah, wait till
But
you
the
see the
building
fence.
itself is
Yeah,
okay.
I've heard
There
the
was,
building is
yeah,
okay.
I talked to one of our photographers, Frank, and he said there was leaking. You know, there was, you can tell on the floor, but, you know, at least it's still there, right? I mean, it's
Listen,
like-
I am not sorry we evacuated.
We were safer here, so it was a good
Absolutely.
move that we
Absolutely,
made.
and I think that's what everybody that evacuated, and
Let's talk to Sophia.
nobody had a fun night last night,
Sophia,
any
hold on.
evacuation center, but we were safe, and we all
Yeah.
did the right thing by doing that.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll see if Brendan's in trouble for all his good info, but
I keep it real with the audience.
that's right, we
So,
do.
all
All
right,
right.
thank you guys. I'm gonna hop
What
off
does it
now.
look like?
Oh, I was going to say, Sophia's standing in front of me, but just moments ago, Sophia was out and about, so let's see what she found.
Hey there, this is Sophia Vitello with ABC 7 News. We are at the Bayfront Park showing you more shocking damage left behind by Hurricane Milton. You see this boat here on the sidewalk, completely ripped up from the water. But this is the crazy part. They tried to keep this boat down. You could see it's still really tightly woven to this dock, but the dock came up with it. So that's just something you can't even battle against. When that wind is just so strong, it pulls up the dock and the boat. There's dozens of residents really here walking around. I mean, car after car. Everybody's coming and looking at the sights here because we know that Bayfront, you get these crazy sights here. It usually gets rocked really hard. We still have a boat over there from Helene just hanging out. So this is not uncommon for the area. I'm going to keep looking around and seeing if I can find more damage for you.
Great job,
Yeah.
great job, great
Well
job.
done.
Thank you for coming to chat with us. Overall, tell us what
Yeah, so
Feel the
that,
vibe.
that was Marina Jack, well, near Marina Jack. That was really Bayfront Park, but a lot of those boats are parked obviously near Marina Jack. So I did several videos like that. Out by Marina Jack, out at Bayfront Park, because look at that. I mean, there was multiple boats. That's not a boat. That
I was gonna say,
actually-
is that their shelter?
Yeah. So that, no, that is where you go to
Shore
get.
fishing charters.
Excuse
hold
me,
that.
sorry.
Hold that in your
Oh,
hand.
okay, my bad.
Technology.
That is where you go to book a fishing charter when you want to go fishing.
Oh, got
so and let me tell you, there's always people there. So that's a big community hub. That's sad. So that alone. When we're talking about Bayfront, though, I want to say at least 6 boats that were flown all the way over into the grass. You got to understand. Think about how far into the water they were.
Yeah.
That wind must have been so strong. That video is not showing it. The other ones, they're all the way on the sidewalk and in the grass.
Well, yeah, didn't you show one tied to a dock and the whole
Yes.
thing ended up in the
Yeah,
park?
that one
That's
was
crazy.
That one was just on. But I mean, while it was out there, I want to say there was 50, 60 people. People are going out
Yeah.
right now to
Yeah.
go look around, which
Hopefully they walked.
I
Yeah.
would not recommend, guys, because I've been down in downtown Sarasota.
Yeah, tell us about the road.
Yeah, how
Yes.
is it getting around?
It's kind of getting trafficky because, as I've said, people are going to gaze and explore, and Sarasota police are trying to go street by street and clear these ginormous trees.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of this debris. I was on one street that no one could get through because a tree was on fire from down power lines.
This is why we really don't want
Yeah,
you to go anywhere.
Yes, it's just,
Yeah.
it's not only the dangerous element, it's that you want authorities to be able to clean up our streets.
Yeah.
So that we can get back to business as usual.
Right.
So the more people on the road, the harder that is, you know?
Absolutely.
So, and that's what I kept seeing. There was just so many people. I was thinking, why are all these people, why are we all out here?
Well, I mean, I understand why, because we
Yeah.
all are interested and we want to see. Maybe some of those were boat owners, who knows what.
Right.
But I think we need to walk our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah,
need
try
to
not
not drive. You're going to
don't
get
be on
stuck.
the road.
Yeah, you're going to mess up the first responders. People have got things to do. Take a walk around your neighborhood, take some pictures, send them to us.
Yeah.
You know, we want to know what's happening, but we want to keep it clear.
You know, Sophia, when Brendan Mackey was just here, he talked to a gentleman who he said was very positive, even though much of his home was destroyed. Were you able to talk to any of the people? What were
How's the
their
mood?
feelings? How's the mood?
The mood, I want to say the same way. I think it's because coming off of Helene,
Yeah.
at least when I'm talking about downtown Sarasota specifically, those folks, they were having some relief. They were taking a breath. They were saying, we really were expecting something much bigger. Some of them said they thought they were going to die.
I get it.
And so now the process is, I just saw them clearing tree branches off of their driveway. I said, hey, how's your house? They said, we're good, 100%, we're good.
A few shingles is
You know?
so much. I mean, think about this, you guys. 36 hours ago, we were staring down a Cat 5 hurricane headed for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all sick to our stomachs.
Yes.
It was incredibly scary. You know, so obviously there's damage, and everything's not perfect. But I think it was such a near catastrophic event that just got a little gentler.
And it really all started to happen quickly because I woke up with my family, some of them who were going to hunker down even in safe zones.
Right.
And you saw that 5 a.m. I don't know how it was for you, but you saw yesterday's 5 a.m. update where you woke up and they said Category 4 direct hit to the mouth of the Manatee River.
Right.
And I think at that point was like almost like a panic mode where people were like, possibly Cat 5. Because remember, it was a Cat 5 before that churning. It had gone down and then come back up to that strong Cat 4. And they were like, we're gone.
Right.
And thank God, though, because people left, because we don't want anybody in harm's way.
Here's
Take a look
hilarious.
at
You
this.
were out there.
I keep posting this, and it's really blowing up on social media because we love O'Leary's,
We
guys.
love O'Leary's.
This is our spot. This
Yeah.
is the heart of Sarasota, one of the hearts of Sarasota. Sadly, they took on even more damage. You can
Yeah, they
see
got
it.
it bad.
It blew through the glass. There's that interior damage. It already smelled a little bit moldy, I want to say, even though there's no chance
Well, that
mold already.
was nasty seawater that was in there.
Because they were flooded. They were flooded during Helene, right?
Well, I can tell you they did not have that first shot that you saw. I don't know if we can replay this again from the beginning so I can show you.
We'll get
let's see.
there.
Yeah, here we go. No, it was nothing like that. I mean, look, that whole side window with the glass.
Because this
it's
is
shattered.
wind. That's the
Yes.
difference. Helene
Okay.
was water.
Yes.
Water is awful. Water
Exactly
makes
that.
a mess and mold
Yeah.
and stench. And I know the barrier islands know it all too well from Helene. But this is wind.
Yes.
Wind destroys
That
a
over
different
there,
type of way.
That brown, that's the
Yep.
bar.
Yep.
That is not where the bar normally is. And to
so
the
it just
right,
got shoved. You're right.
a piece of the roof was also slanted, hanging off. And surrounded by this, there's like 6 or 7 boats just on the grass.
Listen, John Scalzi's reporting 102 mile per hour winds right there on land in Sarasota. So
102,
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. You
That
know?
is a lot.
That is a lot of
and
wind.
that's why I kept showing that video. I have never seen a tree uprooted from its roots.
Oh yeah.
And when I saw that, literally right across from our station at that little playground in downtown Sarasota.
It's in Gillespie Park, isn't
Yes.
it? That was Gillespie Park.
Those giant roots, those trees are extremely heavy.
Right.
That takes so much wind. I mean, just even that sight is shocking, and that's all around downtown Sarasota. It's a mess. It's a mess right now.
It is a mess, and because it's a mess, that's why we're supposed to stay home. You know, the first responders are out. They're working so hard round the clock. They were up all night last night, and they're out there working hard today.
Speaking of first responders, while I was on the way to downtown Sarasota, we saw tons and tons of ginormous trucks, big giant vehicles that had said urban search and rescue, some from Miami-Dade, some from Hillsborough, all over the place, right? With Sarasota, with the sheriff's office, deputies were escorting them north. So I'm assuming, because that was near Lakewood Ranch where we are, I'm assuming they're heading possibly to Manatee County.
Possibly to Pinellas County.
Tampa.
Yeah, we have definitely seen worse things. Yeah, Pinellas
Then they're
and
heading over
Hillsborough.
there. That's what I was assuming, because it was like a
caravan.
That's
Yep.
the word I was looking
Well,
for.
we're thrilled that they're here to help. I mean, I'm sort of thrilled that they're not in our backyard because hopefully things are better here than we initially feared. But I mean, people are out there making a difference, helping each other, doing all sorts of great things.
It really has been remarkable to see. So, yeah, Sophia, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
You've done a fantastic job reporting. We appreciate you. We're glad you're safe.
And she's a good roommate.
Yes.
She's a quiet.
We slept head to head.
We did, and she was very quiet. So we have all sorts of fun, creepy stories.
Snoring.
We're outing him. We're outing him. He's in here somewhere.
That's
He's gonna
okay.
yell at you. This is what they get for making us do this
Well,
forever and
it
ever.
was fun though. I liked it. It was a big slumber party. I felt safe. I felt really safe.
We definitely
with you
felt
guys.
safe.
Yeah.
I think we felt safe because we are in a warm community environment, in a building we know is safe. Honestly, It's a shelter in itself. It's why you evacuate. After hearing from both you and Brendan, I am.
From John Saputo,
Yeah.
This building is so reinforced, and it really did give us comfort because last night you guys were probably asleep. But
Trying.
you know, at whatever time, the height of the winds, when the backside came in of the hurricane.
Yeah, probably about
it
9
got
to 10.
real scary, like around 10 p.m.
I would not have
and-
wanted to be
yeah,
at our station.
I was, exactly. That's what all of us were saying. Like, whoa.
It's
I mean,
Zone B for a
105
reason.
miles
100,
an hour,
yes, all those
100
winds.
miles an hour winds here in this building, and even we could hear them and feel them a little bit. I can't imagine what it would be like to be in another structure. So
No.
I'm grateful for that being here.
All right.
Well, I'll continue reporting for you guys. and get
Okay,
you
thank
some
you.
more.
Go get us some more video,
you,
please. We need something to talk about.
All right, this is a live camera of people trying to get to St. Pete Beach.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, so we are looking at 682, and Steph, I may need to lean on you a little bit. St. Pete Beach is closed.
I'm not sure about. Okay, so I'm not sure, but here's what I do know. I believe I saw this shot before the storm, and someone had said that they had parked
that makes
there
sense.
to escape any potential surge.
Yeah, it's the causeway
So-
out to the
but that
out to
was-
the beach.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they would think that their cars would be safe there.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what that is. And Brian, if you can read any of that easier than we can. So they took their cars off of the coastline. Yeah, the Bayway,
Yes,
the causeway,
yes,
the
yes.
Bayway.
So-
yep, so as you get off 275 and you go out to St. Pete Beach,
People are driving on it.
So
it's
I guess
interesting
the
that they're
thought
parked
process
there.
is that their car would be safer there than maybe on the island, the
Oh, I'm
beach
sure.
itself.
Because of the salt water, right?
Yeah, because of the salt, and perhaps they're thinking, the thought process is, this bridge is high enough, I'm gonna leave my car here, it's not gonna
Right.
get flooded out, it's not gonna get stuck in a saltwater surge.
Right.
So those cars were parked there, to my knowledge, before the storm. We'll have to see if those people come back, and then they're
That
trying to
actually makes
get-
perfect sense.
Yeah,
It
trying to
does.
get back then onto the beach
they would not
side.
be sitting in their car waiting to go because there's no approvals to go out to the coastline anywhere
so,
right
but
now.
they will be returning to those cars at some point, waiting to get back
They're not
on,
gonna be parked
so-
there forever.
Yeah, so we'll see how that unfolds, but it was probably a smart move on their part, because the surge, they didn't get surge, and they didn't have to worry about their car getting soaked or flooded out.
Right. I don't know. I would have wanted mine a little farther inland personally, but
Yeah.
you don't know what the situation
Yeah,
is
yeah.
or what we were able to do. All right. You guys have any new videos to show us?
I'm about to.
All right. Bry's working on it. Our producer, Bry,
working
Sterling,
hard.
Paul, Ryan, Cindy, we've got, which is actually the whole morning news and Suncoast View crew,
Yep.
still here at our remote location. Most of our team has gone back to the station because we are all hoping to get back to broadcast coming up. Who's Look Live?
Yeah.
Brigham. Oh, we haven't heard from Brigham yet. He's out in Bradenton. Let's see what he found this morning.
Hey, this is Brigham Harris reporting in East Manatee County. It is the morning after Milton. We're taking a look at some of the damage in East Bradenton, particularly at the concession. Here you can see a massive tree unearthed, uprooted by the very strong winds that we had here last night. In the other direction, same thing. And going down Lindrick Lane, which is the main road out here, it's all the same story. Massive trees knocked over because of the wind. In fact, the reason I'm showing you this particular spot right here, this is the exit or the entrance to the concession. Trying to leave, I was stopped by a resident who told me there's so many trees down, the exit or entrance is completely blocked on this side. The fire department is on their way here to try to cut it up and free that exit or entrance. Luckily, there is another way in and out on Lindrick Lane, so people are going to be able to get in and out of the community here. But really, this paints probably the best picture of the status right now of East Bradenton. I don't want to speculate, but I thought we were maybe in the eye of the storm for a minute. Things got really, really calm, and then once we got into that west-southwest wall, everything started to pick back up in a much more violent way than when we first felt like we were possibly in the eye wall. And so things are looking okay out here. Lots of folks still trying to assess the damage. Everyone, it seems, is out. I haven't seen catastrophic damage or structural damage to some of these homes, but there are a whole lot of trees knocked over, some of them knocked
into folks' mailboxes, which has caused damage there. There's no doubt going to be some cars that saw damage because of this wind. A little bit of flooding out here, but not a lot. We're going to continue to assess Manatee County, Sarasota counties, but at least up here where we felt like the storm went right over us, the main damage that we're seeing right now is because of the wind and some of the downed trees, but we'll keep you updated. Stay with us all throughout the afternoon. We're going to track and assess the damage caused by Hurricane Milton. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Brigham, giving us an update on Longboat Key. It's turned into a beautiful day.
It
I mean,
is.
the scene behind him was
I
great.
always think about that, how I say Mother Nature is a trick, because, you know, think about that. It's just a phrase that sort of came to my mind, and I kind of hold on to that, because if you think about, you know, less than 8 hours ago, 12 hours ago even, I mean, it was such a different picture. And then here we are. You look outside, it's sunny and beautiful, as if nothing happened.
Absolutely.
And it's just, it's crazy how that is.
Well, at least it'll make picking up the pieces today a little bit easier for some folks. We're trying to give you all the updates that we have coming in from Sarasota County right now. They are reporting the storm surge at 7 to 8 feet. I do not have any official meteorologist confirmations of that, so we'll leave that up to our team once we can get that. But Sarasota County government, one of the reasons they want you to stay where you are, we are still experiencing widespread power outages, downed trees, traffic signals are not working, and the crews are out to restore service to all of the above. So as we've been saying, we know that there are issues, but they're doing their best to get to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to go now to our Jordan Litwiller. He's got some more information for us from Bradenton.
Yeah, hey guys, we're here in Sarasota, just off of 10th Street, and we're seeing some of the most devastating damage that I think we've seen during our time here this morning. I just wanted to take a look around here and show you a little bit about what the reality is for some of these business owners here along the Sun Coast. Right here we're looking at a garage. This was actually a mechanic shop, and there's a number of cars still in this garage, but the garage is completely flattened. As you can see, it's a wood-framed garage, and there's just not a whole lot left that you can see, and navigating this going forward is going to be a real challenge for the business owner. I actually just talked to the owner, and he said that he was just very emotional, saying that he lost everything, and now it's going to be a completely rebuilding effort for him here. But you can see, I don't know if you can zoom in here and see some of the cars inside, but this is one of the garage doors right here. The glass inside the doors is just completely shattered onto one of those cars. It's a pretty sizable garage, you know. It goes all the way across this little block here, with cars all the way down here as well, and the owner also said that all of the cars inside were his as well. So it's not just the building itself, but also the property inside that is really devastating for this business owner. I also want to show you this here along the side of the road. There are some pretty big trees here right off of the coast. We're about half a mile away from the bay in the Van Wezel area. There's some pretty heavy trees here that came down and actually took some of the wires here with it. So that's another thing to keep in mind is, as people get out into the community for the first time since Hurricane Milton, is to always be aware of what you're driving over. First responders are making sure that everybody is aware that it is not safe to drive over any downed power lines because you never know if they're hot or not. That was one of the big issues that we saw in my time up in South Carolina, was those downed power lines, making it very challenging to get around town. And so again, first responders today are just encouraging everybody to stay in their homes and just hunker down for a little while. Yet the main threat being the actual storm itself has passed, but there are still a lot of threats here as we still continue recovery efforts and really just get recovery efforts going underway. But as you can see here, this is one of the prime examples of what the new reality is for some of these business owners and some of the residents here along the Sun Coast. It's going to be a really long recovery effort for many of these people here, and it's just getting started. Guys, back to you in the studio.
Wow. Again, when the overall picture is better than expected, there are still going to be those situations where people are dealing with a lot of damage, and we certainly want to wish them the best.
It's when you look at it and you see it, I mean, that entire building sort of collapsed in on itself, and then as we saw from Jordan, there was actually a car inside that mechanic repair shop. And so, you know, these are things that we're going to start to see more and more of as we go on. You know, fortunately, as far as we know, no one was injured in there, but that is a great example of why you need to evacuate and get away and get into a strong structure.
It's hard to see all the damage that we're seeing, but on the other hand, we're not talking about injuries and fatalities, and we are very, very happy about that. All right, we are taking a look at I-75 right now, southbound. This is mile marker 217, which is the State Route 70 exit, I believe, or in that area. Nice and quiet on those roadways, and that is exactly what we like to see. In fact, we're going to check check in right now with, I believe, with the Florida Highway Patrol.
Yes, Ken
and
Watson
get an
joining
update.
us now on the phone. Ken, it's Stephanie Stanton and Stephanie Roberts. Thank you for joining us.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. All right, give us the breakdown. What are you seeing here, First Light?
Right now, the Florida Highway Patrol wants to advise that the roadways are fairly clear. Most certainly on the interstate, we have no major issues.
Great.
When you are in town using local roads, please be advised that we have several traffic signals that are not functioning. It is paramount that we remember that those intersections are treated as four-way stops. Please do not make the assumption that other drivers will stop. So it is incumbent upon you to do the right thing, come to a complete stop, try to make eye contact with those other drivers prior to pulling forward. And obviously, we need to be careful about driving through any area that has standing water. We cannot see if there is debris or even power lines that may be hidden under the water. So let's make good decisions. Let's do the right thing. Put those devices down and both hands on the steering wheel.
Ken, are you seeing any particular areas, maybe, major intersections or major roads that people would recognize where we do have any type of problems like excessive standing water?
At this point in time, the Tuttle area, 17th, and then, of course, any areas that are still under recovery from Helene. Unfortunately, most folks that live here in Southwest Florida are all too familiar with how to operate a motor vehicle after a thunderstorm, tropical storm, and a hurricane. Right now we're doing everything we can to mitigate these issues, but right now mostly it is in the local areas that are a little bit closer to sea level that we're seeing these issues.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You talked about the roadways looking pretty clear at this point. Are you guys staffing up and gearing up for an influx of people returning? Obviously, we've been advising people to stay off the roads, but are you expecting major traffic to build as the day goes on?
Unfortunately, we are, and we have all of our assets are going to be on the interstate, making sure that everyone is obeying the rules of the road, making sure they're going the speed limit, and making sure that they understand that at this point in time, the shoulder usage is no longer applicable. So you want to stay within your lane of travel. Please understand that the roads are still wet and that a wet road is a dangerous road. So let's do the right thing. Again, let's make sure we're operating those motor vehicles safely.
Yeah, do you have any advice for the evacuation returnees? I mean, that mass evacuation actually ended up spread out over a couple of days, but yet now everybody wants to come home right now.
Yeah, obviously everyone wants to make sure that their home is okay. They want to begin the process of cleaning up, but if at all possible, if they are staying with family and friends, if they could remain one more day and let everyone else come home who has no option but to come home. We're doing everything that we can on our end to make sure it's safe traveling, but obviously the roads can be overburdened. Let's all remember, Florida has 23 million residents and millions of people love to visit. So we want to do everything we can to mitigate those problems of overuse of the roadways.
Yeah, we saw so many people evacuating, pre-storm. We saw gas stations running out of fuel. Let's hope that doesn't happen upon the return, because it could very easily happen again.
What do you know about fuel supplies? That's a great question. Are we in okay shape?
As of right now, all of the fuel is still coming into the Sarasota-Manatee area. There are still many stations that do not have fuel. However, it is on the way. So this needs to go into your planning if you're coming home. So please be advised that those stations are not full and up to running. So, you know, at this point in time, we're only looking at between 30 and 40% of the stations in our area to have fuel. So let's be careful, let's be patient, and based on that information, make a better decision.
Yeah, that's some great advice, Ken, and really a good reason to think about delaying that trip home because there isn't fuel here yet if you're going to need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Ken Watson, Florida Highway Patrol, thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue to check back with you throughout the day. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, have a good day. Thank you, Ken. Really some great advice there about the return. I hadn't even really stopped to think about.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Thinking about the logistics of it.
right, it's hard because right now everybody wants to get up and get on the road, but I would think, you know, that anybody, I've got friends in Atlanta, friends that went to Savannah, you know, you come 6 hours later, that's going to be this evening.
Yeah,
We have some
and
pretty
you
serious
do
traffic.
wonder what is going to be the worst day. I mean, do you think people are kind of kicking back today and then maybe hitting the road
I
tomorrow?
hope so, I think.
Do you think they'll wait the 2 days? I don't know. I feel like tomorrow's not going to be great.
Right. No, I guess we'll have
I
to
mean,
kind of see what
none of the
happens
days
with
will be
that.
great, but hopefully people will stagger out their returns.
Right, and gas will definitely need to be a concern. So,
Yeah. Here at Sharkey.
okay, we
It was damaged due to Hurricane Helene, but now it's much worse. Do not attempt to visit.
got it. Hearing from Venice. So Venice got absolutely deluged by rain. We've had a lot of reports of flooding locally in Venice. The initial report from the fishing pier from Helene was damaged, and now you can see what the new report is. So do not go to the fishing pier in Venice.
Right, yeah, you add that surge from Helene, now you add the wind from Milton, and you can see what was already damaged has now been made worse. Officials again advising people to stay away from that area. And again, I want to go back to John Scalzi, who reported the surge, total surge in Venice at 5.3 feet, much better than the 8 to 12 feet expected, but still causing some damage there in Venice.
And we did have reports of a lot of flooded streets. We saw some earlier pictures of Main Street, no major damage in the downtown. Love that cute downtown area of Venice, but just a lot of trees down and some superficial stuff on the buildings.
Yeah.
All right, our reporters are out and about all across the area, and let's check in now to see somewhere Sophia stopped by.
Hey, this is Sophia Vitello with ABC 7 News. I'm on North Osprey Avenue in downtown Sarasota. I want to show you what we're seeing here. First of all, this person's motorcycle is just buried under this pile of debris and trees and branches flown all around from Hurricane Milton. Now, if you come to your left, though, this street is impassable. So walk with me here because I want to talk to you about this. We know that the city of Sarasota has been coming through and clearing streets. This, I think, is going to be a little bit more of a difficult task because for the most part, we haven't been seeing, at least in downtown Sarasota, giant trees on streets, blocking streets. We've seen large branches and, leaves and grass like this, something that you could pick up and lift off of the street. This is going to take a little bit more time. I'm assuming they might need a chainsaw. They're probably going to have to break this tree up. That is not a light tree. Obviously, you can tell that. I do want to let you know, for some reason, Kate and I, my photographer, we are smelling fire. So we are going to try and see what that's about. But the smell is a little weird here where we're standing. We're going to see what's going on here and go a little bit further down and around this tree on the other side of the road.
Sophia actually just said the down power lines often give out that smell of fire since they do often burn when they come down. So that is something to keep in mind. From what I could tell, and actually I'm going to shout over, Sophia, was that down south of downtown, like over by Selby? Oh, Fruitville. Got it. Off Fruitville Road in Osprey. So just on the very edge of downtown.
Yeah, and look
there.
at that. I mean, that tree completely blocking the roadway, and it's a massive tree.
Right.
It's not like anyone is getting through there.
It's going to take a little while.
Yeah, until the first responders, the crews can
The
get
line
out there,
crews.
the linemen, and get that tree out of the roadway. We have an update now from Holmes Beach Police. They are saying that crews are working to clear the down trees and power lines and debris in that area. They are not letting residents onto the island yet. They also say that cell service is still spotty. So we will continue to follow those crews there on Holmes Beach. I know a lot of people are waiting for word from the barrier islands, Holmes Beach. So we're going to bring that to you just as soon as we can. But take a look at this video. Where is this coming from?
This is Anna Maria
That's as you go on to Anna Maria Island there. So
cell service is extremely spotty, so if you're trying to reach somebody, they probably can't answer.
Got it.
Okay.
We're getting prompts here from our producer, Bryce. She's able to access more direct information than we are. If you're trying to reach somebody, the cell service is spotty. Residents still not being allowed out there. That is true of all our barrier islands.
Yes.
I would say the number one question we are being asked on our social media channels and Facebook is why can't we talk more about the barrier islands? I know everybody's frantic for information about their loved ones. Nobody's out there yet, so we don't have exact details. But the overall theme that we're hearing from Siesta Key, from where else did we hear officially? Longboat Key, and somebody got an eyeball on Anna Maria as well, is that it is not as bad as Hurricane Helene. That storm surge, that feet of standing water, we're not looking at that. Now that said, there were 100-mile-per-hour winds. We definitely have wind damage. We definitely have trees down. I'm sure there's cleanup that's coming, but that utter sheer devastation that we were so worried about and that we saw at Hurricane Helene is not out there.
We want to shift a little further to our north. Bri, our producer, just telling us we're going to Hillsborough County.
Oh, wow.
Where a 14-year-old boy is being rescued. Let's take a look at this for a minute here.
So there's a lot of water rescues going on in Hillsborough County. I have seen that popping across the Sheriff's Department pages there. I'll be honest, Hillsborough didn't have the evacuation orders quite to the level we did.
No, they did not.
So that may have something to do with it. But look at this. What a terrifying situation for that child, and what an amazing job by first responders with that water rescue. That is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously we appreciate them for doing that, but the storm is different in every part, and with that landfall in Siesta Key, there was a rain shield. I watched the radar so much last night. There was a rain shield on the northern half of that storm that put down 18 inches of rain in Pinellas County. I don't think we have totally accurate totals. I've seen 9 and 10 at Tampa International. I know I'm in the eastern Hillsborough County. My family was reporting around 9 inches of rain at our house. So there's just a lot of rain up there, and we are seeing these water rescues. That was pure daytime video that had to be within the last couple of hours.
Yeah.
This is Siesta Key.
Oh, we're getting some peeks at Siesta
Got
Key.
some
Nothing
new
better than
pictures
traffic lights
here.
that are still up. That's a great news. Little trees down, debris. We would expect that.
Yeah.
It looks like a little bit of damage on some roofs there, but yeah,
This vantage point.
that's a tornado that must not. That was yesterday, I think.
Yeah, this is West Palm.
Yeah, the West
Beach
Palm.
area. Yeah.
That's definitely scary, and we're glad that's over. But yeah, nothing as quite as catastrophic as we had feared, but I know the island residents are very antsy to get out there and do some cleanup.
And of course, that's to be expected. Really quickly, I want to talk for 1 second about the Hillsborough County. Could we go back to the Hillsborough for 1 second, to the
rescue?
The teenager being rescued? Guys?
I'm trying.
They're
sorry.
trying.
Okay.
They're working.
I didn't know if they heard me. They were talking about something else, probably next video they're going to. I want to talk about that rescue again for a moment because, A, it's a very compelling video, but so look at this water level here, okay? This is not a storm surge. This is from a flash flood, likely.
Good point.
And a flash flood can put that much water on the roadways, in the neighborhoods. There is more than likely water inside people's homes.
Oh, I'm
when
sure.
you look at that.
100%.
And these are people that probably may have never flooded before or were not expecting to get flooding in their homes. This is also the amount of water right here that a sandbag is not going to help, more than likely. So as we go forward and we look at areas not only on the Sun Coast but outside of our area and we see situations like that, we probably are going to hear more reports of homes flooding from that flash flooding,
Absolutely.
not necessarily a storm surge. And that's always like what we saw in Hurricane Debbie. You had people that never flooded before. Those people did not anticipate flooding.
Right. You don't realize the Braden River can flood that
Right.
far, the
Right.
Alafia. That may very well be related to the Alafia River. I did wonder that from looking at
Yeah,
it. So,
so
we'll be
something to
learning
keep in
more.
mind.
We'll be learning more.
Conserve water, this is Manatee County. Take
Okay,
all
Manatee
things.
County just posted that they want you to conserve water. Don't wash your clothes. They're still working on getting the water pressure back in their plants accurately. Obviously you can take a quick shower, but don't make it a long one. Don't wash the dishes, and don't dump any liquids down household drains because water pressure is likely to be limited. All right, we have some updated news here from Longboat Key. I'm going to see if I can read this. teams have accessed the island from the Longboat Pass Bridge. That's the northern bridge on the island. That's the only way the teams have been able to get on. Their initial assessment of Gulf of Mexico Drive shows that it is clear. We don't have those horrible piles of sand and all that mess that we had from Hurricane Helene. So passage on Longboat Key is going to be clear. They have to wait for FDOT to assess that northern bridge before they're going to open it up. So that's what we're waiting on right now. We're not waiting because something horrible is out there. We're simply waiting for structural approval there. We are also being told that access is not going to be granted through the south end. So they must have determined that there are some structural problems with the bridge. We heard it was actually the one from Bird Key, the causeway out to, that would also be Lido Key, that'll be impacted by that. So we'll wait and get a full update there. We're seeing some pictures of what it looks like out on Longboat Key, but if you were there and dealing with Helene, you know this is a much, much better situation. The new pass bridge is the one that has damage on the south end. So that actually should spare any issues getting to Lido Key, because I think I'm correct that the new pass bridge is the one that goes from Lido to Longboat. And if I'm wrong, I know you guys will correct me, and I appreciate that. Still without power, still without water, and aim for, it says two-tier re-entry. Okay,
which
we did know
we're
that.
trying to determine once we get clarity on what exactly that means. If it's a staggered re-entry,
That means they let
a
the south
timing.
residents first. The south residents are going to have to come through the North Bridge, but like south first. You guys will be able to assess that on the Facebook page when they explain that re-entry. But I do want to keep emphasizing the reason we aren't talking more or hearing more about the barrier islands isn't because there was a big problem. It's just because only law enforcement is out there and they are still carefully
working
assessing
logistics,
structures.
trying to get every structure.
Yep, it's structural.
We want to make sure that people are safe if you're going to start stacking people on those bridges after, they just endured 100 plus mile an hour winds. So, so we're grateful that they'll do that, and we'll take that time to let them do that. We have another look live from Sophia Vitello. So let's go out to her and see what she has to share with us now.
Hey there, this is Sophia Vitello with ABC7 News. Hey there, this is Sophia Vitello with ABC7 News. Right now I'm on Briggs Avenue and Fruitville Road. We're assessing the damage from Hurricane Milton. Look at this house here. I just talked to the homeowner. Luckily, it's just this front area. It's not inside the home, but look at what that wind did, that powerful wind. We know it was 90 plus miles per hour. Rushing through the Suncoast here, you can see it's just pulled apart this whole porch. There's pieces of it all over the floor. There's trees and debris inside. We're not sure if everything that's in there is damaged or not, or if it'll be salvageable. Hopefully, those items and everything else inside the house is okay. We're going to continue looking through downtown Sarasota and finding the damage and the dangerous areas for you.
All right, thank you, Sophia. We've seen Sophia in about 10 different locations today. I totally
and
love
sitting in this chair
Yeah,
too.
and
She did all that. She came back and she's sent back out to gather more, I guess.
Right, yeah, we are desperately trying to bring you looks from all across the community. We know everybody is wondering the same thing about what's happening outside. We appreciate you hanging with us and heeding the warnings not to go, what do we call it, looky-loo? That's what we call it when you drive around and look at things. Don't do that. Keep those roads open. Our first responders are out there lifting trees and moving power lines. Number one reason to stay home is for safety, but number two is we really want them to be able to do their work and get those trees out of here so that we can get back to normal as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting instructions.
Okay.
Got it.
I think we're going to swap out pretty soon. You're going to swap out
I'm going
with
to take a
our
quick
Rob
little break,
Wells,
but we're going to
because
keep.
You have been here since, what time did you start this
2
morning?
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
What time
You've
is
been
it?
Here.
I don't even know
what
what
time is it?
I don't know.
So you need a break, so go get a break.
All
Great
right.
job. We're
Are we
going to
going to
swap
do
in
anything for
Rob
that? Are we going
Wells,
to play
and then,
anything, video, anything? Got to look live for me? You don't want to watch me take my mic off and welcome Rob, or we can. We could just do that.
Well, you guys can step out over there if you want.
All right, Steph, you're on your
All right,
own.
go. I'm kicking
gonna
you out.
take a quick little break.
Yeah, we'll let them get situated and swap out, and we'll continue taking a look at some of the damage that we've been seeing throughout the Suncoast after Hurricane Milton. You know, it was a scary time here in our area as this storm. We watched it build, we watched it reach Category 5 and finally hit land at Siesta Key. Take a look at this. This is Bayshore Drive, you said? Look at this. A massive tree is down. Bayside Drive. Excuse me. Thank you, Bri. A massive tree there was uprooted. I mean, literally lifted off by its roots. And look at, you can see that person standing in the foreground just to give you an idea of how massive this tree was. I'm not sure what kind of tree this was, but it was probably there for quite a long time. 50 years, maybe even more. Wow, look at that person next to that tree. Literally lifted up by its roots. Absolutely incredible. And these are scenes that we are seeing play out over and over again throughout our area, throughout the Suncoast. This is a huge tree, Bayside Drive. Is Bayside Drive in Sarasota, do we know?
Bayside Drive.
Yeah, we're thinking that's in Sarasota. We're not 100% sure. You know, we get these videos, they come in on our website, and so we have to turn them around, and we really appreciate all the videos that our viewers are providing. We thank you so much when it's safe to do so. Videos, photographs, everything, all the content that you're providing us on our website. People put the information, sometimes people don't put the cities on there, so we're not always 100% sure, but what we are sure of is that we are grateful to have the viewers, the eyes and ears, again, when it's safe to do so, to share the photos and videos with us on our website at mysuncoast.com. Wow, incredible pictures. And I want to welcome in my colleague, Rob Wells.
Great to be here.
Yesterday for several hours. It's great to have you back again.
Thank you.
And
pulling myself together here.
Yes, we are just getting a sense of the damage that we're starting to see. We've also been hearing reports from our meteorologists, and you've probably, I know you've been resting, but the consensus is that a lot of the damage that we're seeing in terms of storm surge, not as catastrophic as Hurricane Helene, which we are so grateful for.
Absolutely.
And then we're seeing a lot of, some structural damage, wind, which is to be expected because we had those 100-mile-an-hour winds. But again, even with that, in some areas, and again, we don't want to say for sure, but the damage does not appear to be as catastrophic as we initially thought. Take a look at these pictures here coming in from Anna Maria Island. A lot of people, Rob, very concerned about the barrier islands. That's what people have really been wanting to find out about. And because we can't get access to those right now, officials are not allowing people onto those barrier islands. They're checking the bridges for structural safety. But look, we are starting to get our first looks at some of the barrier islands. Look, we've got some roadway flooding there right now.
Absolutely, and it's such a mixed bag because I was out in that area on Monday, folks preparing for what they knew was going to be the onslaught. Look at that tree. Look at that thing. Wow. Massive old tree right there, split literally down the middle, just splintered like a toothpick. No match for the wrath of Milton. And it was such a, that appears to have been a, what is that, a sign or a roof that got caught onto a pole there?
It looks like a roof. Looks like a roof that's wrapped around the pole. I mean, that is incredible.
The sheriff's vehicle, even no match for the wrath of Milton and Mother Nature there. Trees split in half, and we're going to see that all over. That is the big crux of today. Of course, first responders out assessing the damage, lines down, trees down, the rod and reel pier, almost unrecognizable at this point. And so many folks on Anna Maria, on Holmes Beach, those places, it was a mixed bag, Stephanie. I was out there on Monday. They were still trying to clean up from the wrath of what was behind from Hurricane Helene and getting all the debris. A lot of them still emptying contents out of their homes from that storm surge, from that particular devastation, and yet preparing for what they knew was going to be even more of a catastrophic storm. I'll tell you what I was surprised about this morning, and I don't know how much you've seen in the reports, but they're saying like Port St. Lucie County over on the East Coast really decimated there. A lot of the mobile home parks, and we thought we had one trajectory of this, and we knew that this was a storm that in some way, in some magnitude, was going to affect almost every part of our state, and this doesn't always happen every season, but in fact it did. Yesterday alone, we were talking about the cyclones popping up, the tornado confirmations, and we now know that that path cut a swath all the way across.
County Public Work crews clearing debris.
Okay, and
11:45 a.m.
we want to turn, this is brand new video, the newest that we can provide, 11:45 a.m. Sarasota County work crews out and about clearing debris, and this is going to be a familiar scene for days, if not weeks to come. But it looks like they are working hard. They are working very quickly. As soon as it was safe to do so, we saw these crews descend out. I mean, everybody got to work, and they are out now in the community, and they are asking people to please avoid the areas if you can. If you are hunkered down right now, they're asking folks to stay in place. I know it's a big ask because people want to get out there.
Sure.
They want to go see the damage for themselves, but we've got to let these crews do their job.